Hey, morning, everyone. Welcome to the Select Finance Committee meeting. We'd like to call the meeting to order. November 27th at 10:06. Recommendation, Select Finance Committee meeting agenda for November 27th, 2025 be approved as circulated. Councillor Evans, Councillor Bushell, all in favor. Thank you. Carried. Recommendation of the minutes of the Select Finance Committee meeting held on February 25th, 2025 be adopted. Councillor Bushell, Councillor Beach, all in favor. Thank you. And we're going to go right to delegations. The Eagle Valley Rescue Society. It says here that there's a late attachment to come. It's okay. Perfect. Kelly, take it away. Thank you.
Good morning. Through the chair. We have to start with our Indigenous our land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that Eagle Valley rescues the communities across the lands of many Indigenous peoples. We are committed to deepening our understanding of histories and culture of Indigenous peoples, and we committed to developing meaningful dialogue and relationships founded on respect. Thank you for joining or allowing us to speak to you today. Next slide. We sent some information in advance for you to review. 100% nonprofit, charitable. I think you guys know a lot already about us, but perhaps we did at the bottom of the slide the differences between us and fire departments. We can serve anywhere in the province, and fire departments typically have a jurisdiction that they're confined to. However, we do meet up at various sites, and these are mutual aid partners: Swansea Point, Malabar, and of course, Citizens. Yeah. Areas served. So we're finding predominantly we go from Three Valley Gap to Burnie Road and Sycamores to Green Road. Majority of the calls, as you can see, well, in the next slide, but we put some. It's been interesting to be able to track down how many vehicles are going on the number one highway. There's not as many statistics for 97. So this slide speaks to 2024 is the last year that they've been posted, and you can go to the website. I put the link there if you'd like to have a look. But so from Cranlachi, east or westbound, 2024, 7,744 vehicles typically. When we get to the summer months of July and August, we're up to 13,568. So that's a 75% increase of traffic on the stretch of road heading in the direction of either Revelstoke or Sycamores. So there was some statistical information for the 2022 traffic volume that's more specific to our area. So 1.6 kilometers south of Sycamores. They're daily in the summer. Daily, there's 5,017. In the summer, there's a 61% increase of vehicles that head in that direction. And then west of Broome Bridge, same thing, 60% increase in 2023. There's no other information on the site for these two places. It's any more current than 2022, and again, that can be found on the site that I quote on the slide. So on the next slide, at the very top, you'll see in our current year that's just passed, 2024-2025, we had 5 mutual aid calls with Sycamores. We had 2 with Malabar, and we had 4 with Swansea Point. It was a tremendously busy year in 2024 with 6 calls, 7 fatalities, 23 of the calls, needed ropes or extrication, which is our specialty. We did some medical assists, and it identifies the areas that we responded to, item one, item number 7. What's interesting about this slide, and speaks to where I'm heading, is the number of calls that were within the sick moose boundary, and that was a little less than half. So there wasn't excellent record keeping that was happening, but these 3 years do speak more clearly to what's going on. And we can see that even when there's a low number of calls, there's still, significant numbers of people lost in calls, in predominantly the sick moose area. Disparities and items of interest. So got me thinking at a meeting that happened in September with the CSRD, who suggested that ourselves and Salmon Arm Rescue might want to collaborate, pick one person to head up the group and lobby the CSRD for the same kind of grant and aid money that's being given to SWAT Search and Rescue, who were here on the 14th of May with their presentation to you about what they do, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So the person at the CSRD suggested that, the annual gift grant and aid could be somewhere between $20,000 to $30,000. But what kind of annoyed me was that it was to ensure the longevity of the society service delivery model. In other words, we don't need to pay these highly skilled volunteers. And to me, that I don't like that. These people are the same that are responding on our highways are the same as paramedics. In fact, they see the patients before the paramedics even see them. So we need the money, but do I think we should be doing a society service delivery model? I'm not so sure. When I look at if it was to be a paid on-call service, the training, not including or counting officer pay or other nuances that we have, but if you on the previous slide, we've done 354 hours in service and another 315 hours in training. You think that is another $20,000 for the 25-26 season that we're currently in. So the CSRD, as they in their infinite wisdom, and I did research all their numbers and I did look at their 5-year plans, but the idea being, and I already see your contribution on what the dividend pays, it's in the slide, 8.5% of 131,750. You're already paying that money to the district, to the CSRD. So in their letter, they're suggesting that modest contribution agreement spread over multiple municipalities and electoral areas would result in a small impact to local taxpayers. And I'm not opposed to going to the CSRD because the bottom line is we need funding and we need annual funding. But I live here and I have a vision, as do some of the other members, of what we do here in Sick Moose and how that can look in the future. And so this was my first stop. In March of this year, the EMCR removed the specialist. So currently there is nobody that I can phone and say, well, I've got this situation, and we had a situation just before she left. I need to speak to somebody who can guide me. There's nobody. EMCR doesn't care about road crossing. I have a request into them on what kind of liability insurance they have that they cover our crew with. And I've been waiting since the 13th of August they get a response. And the next thing is I'll be on their doorstep. Really, they're more concerned about the atmospheric thing in Vancouver than they are about road rescue groups who do not get paid and have to fundraise for everything, every piece of equipment. Yeah. So I included, an article from 2023, that's recent enough, that the BC SAR Association, the only agreement of its kind in Canada for these people, they get providing more than $33 million in grants over 6 years. And it's in addition to what the province provides each year, $7.5 million in 2021-22. So is there a disparity? Yeah, it's a travesty that this province is paying, that they're paying for SARS, BC search and rescue, if you will, to do the things that they do. Are they valuable? Absolutely. Are they anything like what we do? Absolutely not. And that comes up in another slide where we're hard pressed to find where we have been on a call that's also included SHU-SWAP search and rescue. They get the funding, they have the groups, they're trained. We have agri. They are highly skilled and they are trained on two things: extrication and road rescue. Now, next slide. When you go to this, which is part of their presentation, which is why our logo is not on it, it's not my information. They advise council that of these 67 calls in the Sycamore area, that was over 5 years. We get that many in a year, and we get zero funding from the province. So it's profound to me that this disparity is out there, and you can almost guarantee that my next stop will be our MLA, because we're not sustainable, and this is not, I'm not going to talk about fairness because we all know in life that that's not applicable, but there has to be something else that can be done. If Eagle Valley was not in this area, and then you're going to wait for SHU-SWAP search and rescue, as is Malacca, as is Swansea Point or Mara Lake. They're going to wait anywhere from 30 minutes to more. Can they do extrication? No, they can't. They don't carry, from what I understand. And I've made a call to SHU-SWAP over a week ago to Corey to get some answers. I have lots of questions, and there's been no call back. So he's busy or other things are going on. So I'm making an assumption when it comes to extrication. I do not believe that they have the jaws of life, but they would be able to cut somebody out of the vehicle, besides the weight. So we don't have a building, graciously. Our spaces, once our space is appropriately designed and designated for our use in the St. Louis Fire Hall. We train there, we have a good relationship. It's been over 30 years before we were actually felt welcome in the hall, and with thanks to Dean, Megan, and council, of course, making that happen. We don't have a building that we need $100,000 each year to maintain. We can take that money and put it right into the people, right into the equipment, and right into the business of saving lives and getting people to the surface for BC ambulance. So we see the value of the shared space. If I was to share my vision, rescue is in a lead group within a firehouse. We don't see that here, but you see that in Calgary. There are people that are trained specifically in certain things. And that's what my vision is going forward in fire halls. We're going to see in the North and South SHU-SWAP, they're going to, we donated our extra equipment to the CSRB. and that's going into the south hall. And so they're gonna start training on that, and fortunately, there's a gentleman there who did work with us here on rescue, Dan Roddick, who is aware of the equipment and knows what we do, is going to probably be able to help them quite a bit in using that equipment. Falklands, unfortunately, if they have any of those incidents, they're gonna wait for Vernon to respond. So it's a service that's really needed here in this area. So how do we get money? Well, we get money from our tax members. The annual budget for this year is 58. The 143 identifies how many calls we would need at $409 to be able to meet our budget. It's not really a number we're gonna go out and chase. We'd rather have low call numbers, which is what we have right now. We've only had 19 calls since July, which is awesome. But it also creates a void of funding coming in. Future funding will allow us to have significant volunteer time that can be better used, improving our technical skills for training and maintaining equipment. The CSRD supports us now with peer-to-peer CISM, critical incident stress management. So when we had to call, or I call it the 4 young lads, just past Kailachie in the red truck, CSRD supports us every time we call. It doesn't have to be a fatality call. It can be a call that's triggered one of our members and they show up. That is huge. We trained some people internally, and one day, none of those 3 people were available for CISM. And so one of our members reached out to the CSRD and said, "Can you help?" And they said, "Yes, we're going to continue to use that help because it's critical." Our people see the same carnage as BC Ambulance, so that's why we need to be supported by the province. And ensure that the same kind of critical incident stress management and counseling and things of that nature are available for our people. The society budgets for that now because it can't not happen if somebody, it has happened in the past. I found papers where people had pieces of paper in school that they can go out and be on road rescue. Doesn't happen anymore. You don't allow anybody under 19 to attend, and even then, it's very segmented on what they can see and what. And even somebody who's 25, we had new people this year. We don't just throw them in the mix. It's Jeff uses a very pragmatic approach to what a person can see. It's not always nice. 7 fatalities last year. So what's the ask? Not to amalgamate. I think we're better at this point. Each of us doing what you have to do right now, and there's a lot that I'd like to see us do before we're actually, and we're going to talk about where we align before we're actually, part of a firehouse. But we do have a vision for the future, and that's to make it happen, that we have secured funding. So I'm writing grants all the time, as is Mary, probably for the senior center and other nonprofits. And there's a lot of nonprofits in this town. And always going around like this is it's humbling. We do it, but it would be better if we didn't have to do so much of that. Our expenses have been significant. So in the last 5 years, when we actually thought we were going to come to the district, no doubt about it, I was in charge of the books. I fixed and did what was the bottom line needed to be done. And when we came and we had $70,000, there was a plan of how we were going to spend that money to make sure that Sigma's had a good service, and then nobody would say, ever since we took on rescue, we've been spending money. That's not ever going to happen. But we spent things need replacing now, so helmets. I wrote a grant for that, ropes, I wrote a grant for that. Harnesses, lights and sirens. Our lights and sirens sounds like a cat screeching, so we took a bus to, I drove the vehicle to Chilliwack, took the bus back to Sick Moose, did the same thing in return. We got the lights done under budget, which is always nice. But we had to not do the lights on the second truck because we're running too thin. And until another grant is written for the second truck, we can't do lights and signs. Is it a safety hazard? Yes, there's an element. Will it cause a loss of life? Probably not. And having the other truck with the full lights is really a blessing. So for operations alone, I've looked at it because the CSRD suggested it. Accounting, the insurances on the truck, bookkeeping costs, registrations, we can be about $12,000 annually. For repairs and maintenance of our two trucks, which they're in running order, they're in excellent shape, $10,000. So when I look at the district of Sick Moose and I see that you guys are writing grants, I know you write grants and I know you can't take money from this pot, just like we can, and put it in this pot, but there's grants for skating rinks for $250,000, for pump track lighting for $25,000, for mountain bike park, phase 1, $312. Makes me cry. Makes me sad to think that, we're doing this all the time. So that's my soapbox on that. Where do we align? We align, and I have reached out more than once to the district and said, if you want details, if you want numbers, if you want help, I gave Sheila DeVos information to take to her, opportunity to speak to people in power in the province. I've offered it here, but I follow what you do. If we're doing the same thing, 2015, 2018, 2025, you've lobbied for municipality funding for road listing. That's significant alignment between you and us. We both agree that volunteers need to be appropriately recognized and paid for their services in the communities that they serve. So what's next? We're gonna lobby, I'm gonna lobby the government for change. But I'm here today on behalf of Eagle Valley Rescue asking for your financial support. And if that's not possible, we will ask the CSRD as well. We'll keep writing grants, it's not gonna stop any of that. But there is also, and I brought this up in November of 2023, there's a model out there that works exceptionally well. And I stopped in Golden and asked to speak to Mike Kapoor, that he's off right now, that provides financial assistance. And I think Wonka is doing that on occasion here as well, charging back to EMCR. So the 4 young lads in the red truck, we went out, did the call, came back in, we were paid by EMCR. Jeff phoned back because there came a call in that said there's all these cattle in the cattle car. So we got the human beings out, but there was nobody to take the cattle. So EMCR said, yes, we will cover you for work safe and liability, but we're not gonna pay you. That's fine. Way you go. Boys went. I don't think it would not though. So we're gonna start carrying our own liability because I don't want to ever be in the position to have these guys have to decide if they're gonna go save a cow because it's not paid for or they're not covered by liability or insurance. They're gonna have that opportunity and it'll be covered by the society. So what I did was I followed. Mike gave me all his stuff from Golden, and I sent the cattle company that was in that incident. I sent them an invoice that said, you are under no obligation to pay this, but we provided a service and here's what it cost. And they paid it, and they sent us an amazing thank you letter that I know that we did the right thing. And I know that that model can work here too. You just have to understand how it works. And we're gonna get, the one on the bridge, probably should have sent an invoice for that too, but I wasn't there yet. But in February, I was, and it works, and it will work, and it will continue to work. We are already using 3 people from, not using, let me rephrase that. There are 3 people from the St. Louis Fire Club. There are 3 people from Swansea Point, and there are 3 people from Malacca that all serve on the fire departments who have decided to join Eagle Valley Rescue in the last year. Jeff has been out there talking it out. We also have some people that are just everyday people that want some excitement, I think, sometimes, but that are joining us as well. What is the value of that? I'll tell you what the value is. The next time there's 4 young lads in a red truck, just past Trialachi and Malacca, and Malacca is there to do traffic. They have people that are trained that can help us too. They know what to do. They can't serve 2 masters, but they can change their hat at the scene with the permission of their chief, and they can assist us. So what happened with the 4 young lads? There was a person we're still trying to find from Silver Lake that was part of their fire rescue, who jumped in and helped, because we only had 3 people on that call, who jumped in and helped on that call. There was also a doctor that helped on that call. So the value is every time the motorcycle accident that happened on the corner by Sycamore Houseboats, who was our mutual partner. Sycamore, what happened? People knew what to do. And when you know what to do, you're going to get those people to BC Ambulance sooner. And so this collaboration with the fire departments is critical. And the more people we can get from fire departments, the better it is, because they're going to be that much more useful when there's a critical incident. I think that's it.
Kelly, thank you very much. And Jeff, thank you very much for being here. And thank you for all that you do for the community and the great presentation. So thanks for everything. Councillor Rich.
Through the chair, again, a huge thank you for everything you guys do. And I think one of the things that I've learned through this journey, I've been doing a lot of reading over the last year and a half about you folks, is that we actually have 5 pillars in Sycamore. So we have the police, we have the ambulance, we have road rescue, we have the boathouse. You're the only ones, like boathouse, and you guys aren't paid. Boathouse has a home. But when it comes down to, so if there's a bad car accident, and this is one of the biggest things I've learned, like to dummy it down, is ambulance can't go over the bank. And we have banks everywhere. So when Francine Byron passed within Sycamore's area, she went into a swamp. The ambulance, the police, the fire department are not allowed down there for insurance. We need you guys to get there. And that's called a golden hour, which again, I've learned a lot about. It's about an hour that you've got to get the person out of the vehicle and into an ambulance and into the hospital. And we're already struggling because our hospitals are 22 minutes away. And if we have to wait for Salmon Arm to come out or Shuswap or whoever, we're losing our people. Like we're losing, and not just our own people that we know, people are going to die. And so for me, this is a huge, I think we need to support this because you guys are one of the 5 pillars that get, and you're the only ones that can do it. Fire can't do it. Ambulance can't do it. Police can't do it. The boathouse can't do it. That is your job. That's what you're trained to do. And we need to support you on that. And honestly, your ask isn't huge. If, you know what, my kid was dying and you said that's going to cost the district $30,000 to keep that one person alive, and you're telling me we've had 7 fatalities? I vote yes for this one. I think this is really important that we try to find some money somewhere.
Thank you.
Bianca, go ahead.
Yeah, Kelly, can I just clarify the total ask, because I heard 12K, 10K, so is it you're around 22 from the CSRD and us, between the two of us?
Well, it's interesting because I went and spoke to Five-Year Foundation recently, and he said, I go to both of them and ask. But I know that there's, and that's my responsibility. If I can get money from both, then we're gonna be that much better, right? But I also know that they'll probably pass it down to you, so there's still, they're gonna admin, just like they do search and rescue too, so. My ask would be 30, and I'll keep it we'll keep it in-house.
30 total between the two? Or in Sycamoose or just
Just Sycamoose.
I'm looking for guidance on the CSRD thing. I mean, we do a lot of calls in their areas too, so we should be asking them as well. If I was to get funding from them as well, then I wouldn't need as much. Right?
Councillor McCabe, then Councillor Bushel.
Sorry, I had to take off mute. Yeah, Kelly, thank you very much for what you and all your folks do. You save lives. Eagle Valley Transportation transports seniors to improve their quality of lives, but you save lives. So I support your ask 100%.
Thank you.
Thanks, Malcolm. Councillor Bushel.
Yes, thank you through the chair. Kelly, thanks very much for your presentation, and thanks your team for everything you guys do for the community. I support your ask as well. It's just so hard to get all the groups together, and I see you struggling trying to get a hold of this person and that person. And I was always wondering if whether it be chaired by the CSRD or all the emergency crews get together, because I do see some overlap, and that being in the snowmobile club and watching all the backcountry rescues and things like that happen, and how far they are away from where all the action is, and how long it takes. I'm familiar with how long it takes them to get to the parking lot, let alone up the mountain. So yeah, time is of the essence. But it would be great to see all the communities, all the fire departments, all the SAR, I know we've done it on the lakes and things like that a bit, but in the wintertime when it's quiet, to get everybody together, and how could we streamline, and but for sure I support your ask. And
So you folks have already started that. There was a meeting that Jeff attended. It's a quarterly meeting where everybody that's in our area, so it would not include search and rescue, but that doesn't mean that it couldn't, where you're meeting quarterly and we're talking about I think Dean, you're very well aware of this, that Lorenzo set that up, and I see a great benefit. And I also see a benefit in, also looking at various scenarios after an incident and collaborating on what happened, right? We can certainly look at or suggest to the sickness that they include going forward to include search and rescue in that, because they do show up in this area for the items that were on that slide. And that would be another key person to have at the table.
Yeah. Part of funding should be mandatory that you show up, and all the groups should show up. And it's like you say, it's very, very important with the cost of doing business today in today's society, to streamline as much as you can and make sure everybody's on the same page.
Right.
But support everything you do. Thank you very much.
Councillor Evans.
Thank you through the chair. Thanks, Kelly. Just a clarifying question. Are you wanting shop space as part of your ask with this 30,000? Is that what you're asking for as well?
Well, you've offered it, and yes, we don't want our own building. We see ourselves in your building in the future.
Okay.
And it's my understanding from Dean, we met with him, that there's a space that's going to be carved out for our equipment. I know we talk about that being in kind, right? And it's also the first time we felt welcome and recognized in the district of Sycamoose Fire Hall.
Good stuff. Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly. Councillor Page.
Through the chair, thank you, Kelly. You guys just do an amazing job, and I guess I was gonna, ask about the space, as well, and if there is room there without having to add on any space for you, is there room on the lot if we had to expand the fire hall? Is kind of another question. I just wanna, I'm, every time I hear anything about the unpaid work that you all do, I'm just gobsmacked because the emotional trauma that comes with this kind of work is just incredible. And to think that we even expect people to actually train and go out and do this work without any compensation is, I don't know, that's just basically wrong to me. So I totally agree with the ask. I think we should support you in further whatever needs you need to make, all of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just to add that it's been great to work with you guys. We're going to continue to work with you. The fire hall is a space is available to you. We've been through that space. We continue to work with Jeff to ensure that we've got adequate space for their needs. We are doing some improvements. We'll see that a little further in the budget process for the fire hall. And EVR is a part of that. They'll be part of the discussions on that work. New lockers and so forth we're looking at. They're all going to be a part of that piece. They're a part of the fire hall at this point. That's been very clear. And we're trying to make it an inviting and useful space. As was noted, we have members that are part of our paid on call, that are part of EVR. There's different gear for different tasks. So they've got different space for those two sets of gear. We want them also to be in close proximity to each other so that they can access both of those sets of gears when they need to for their calls. So we're going to work together and continue to work together. And we've had some great conversations. I want them to be a part of the conversation and walk through of the hall as we do these things, and we'll continue to make sure that relationship is strong.
Thank you, Dean.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. Looks like council is in full support of, so we will, moving forward, going into budget deliberations, we'll see what we can do.
Consider our asks.
Absolutely. Oh, sorry, Bianca.
I'm just looking maybe for a little bit direction just because of the amount and the possibilities of talking with probably area E director for like our specific area. So I guess just to work with, if council could just give some direction, if it's okay, if staff works with Kelly to communicate with CSRD and really tone down the financial piece, and then we can bring that in with the next draft.
Yeah, okay, that sounds like a really good idea. So we'll make a motion. Go ahead, Councillor Rich.
Yeah, through the chair, I wanted to make the motion that we work with Area E. Of course, we are Area E, and a lot of the accidents are happening in Area E. So that I would make a motion that we work together with them to come up with funding to make sure that our rescue has the money they need. Not today, going forward for a long time until we keep working together.
Second by Councillor Beach.
So just for clarification, so I believe that the resolution that you're talking about would be that staff be directed to work with the CSRD to identify if the opportunity for Eagle Valley Rescue and bring that back as part of the budget deliberations in the next round.
I think that's what I said.
We have the direction.
100%, sorry.
I was just seconding it.
Oh, Councillor Beach already seconded. We're into discussion right now. Bianca, were you looking at just Area E and just our space, or you're looking for the whole CSRD?
It would just be Area E because the Salmon Arm one does more of the Salmon Arm area. And they're a little bit different. They have a home and all of that. So expanding it, I mean, you're not going to get, the North Shoe Shop is doing their own thing right now, right? They're setting up. So and other areas. So Revelstoke, just so for some background, Revelstoke's fire department takes on their rescue around their area and Golden does theirs. So you can't look to the entire CSRD because you can't get all those.
So could we change that a bit? Take the CSRD out, work with Area E and have Kelly go directly to the CSRD. And see if, because I think that's an opportunity to get a little bit more cash.
I agree.
So let's take CSRD out of that, turn it into Area E. Sorry, and we've got can we have, is that like a friendly amendment?
That's a friendly amendment.
So could I get a mover on the friendly amendment? Counselor Bushel, seconded by Counselor Evans. All in favor of the friendly amendment? Okay, thanks, that's carried.
Thank you.
Counselor McCabe?
Yeah, thank you. I wonder if we should be more prescriptive because we don't want to mix up the two of our in-kind contribution and a cash contribution. I think those should be separate, so one doesn't lose against the other. So we let them, the Rescue Society, use the fire hall as Dean's working on there, and that's in-kind, but that's separate from. And I wonder if we should be definitive or more prescriptive funds. Our council seems to be in agreement of a cash contribution of $30,000, and I wonder if we can make that 30,000 on an annual basis, because again, running a nonprofit society like I run one, an annual funding is critical, especially when you're trying to save lives.
Okay, so instead of changing that, can we just add an amendment or that the in-kind at the fire hall remains status quo?
If I may,
Yeah, go ahead.
so we already have a resolution from council directing staff to establish an agreement with EVR for the in-kind use. So that is already in place. It doesn't have a budgetary requirement to it. So it doesn't come back for budget as part of a budget review. We'll include that information. We have that information available of the in-kind, but it's not a budgetary item. Council has already given us a resolution. We received that earlier this year, and we acted upon that, and we've got an agreement with EVR, and we continue to work on that, as I noted. And that's not requiring a further resolution from council. That is a separate item, and that is already happening as per council's direction.
Perfect. So that's already been taken care of. That's great. Just one quick question to staff. Making this an annual $30,000, if the all the advocating we've been doing for road rescue, if province does come to the table and start supporting that, is council still want to contribute the $30,000 annually? Because Malcolm's asking for this annually, to be added annually.
So this would become part of your budget deliberations on an annual basis if the province steps up and does what they've been asked to for a number of years and suddenly begins to provide funding. That would be part of the next year's discussion. Would be, we can't assume that the province will do that. We can't assume the province won't do that either. We would establish the budget for the next year reflective of that.
Okay. Councilor Rich.
Thank you.
Yeah, through the chair, and I agree with Councillor McCabe that this would be an ongoing funding until it wasn't. So if the province steps up or that the Rescue Society is amalgamated into the fire department, then that would be renegotiated. It's not a signed 3-year contract or a 2-year contract. It's just a commitment. We're just saying, hey, we're going to commit to this. And if we need to revisit it, then absolutely will. But that they're not always struggling to look for this money as we're saving people's lives off the road is what we're doing.
Absolutely. And I think that's what Dean just said. Bianca, go ahead.
With the current resolution approved too, we can work on some options. So if we want to do like a 5-year agreement, similar to like what we have with Arts Council and stuff, usually a 5-year agreement is standard. If we want to just lock in the operating, and then really at the end of the year, we don't have to bring Kelly and Jeff in to, fight for their money every year. It's earmarked, it's good to go. And then we can include some wording in there about if there's funding changes within the province, then the agreement can be renegotiated and determined if it's still necessary.
That's a good idea. Okay, awesome. That sounds great. Thank you guys very much. Thank you for all you do. Please thank your teams. Okay,
I can stay for a bit because I like it.
I like the finance vibe. Okay, we are going to, the introduction of draft number 1 tax increase. Bianca, I just called you Kelly.
So here, so this is just a summary of where all of our buckets are currently laying. So right now, the one for general taxation is a 0.23% increase. So as we add in, as we take away, this will change. But this is just with all the attachments I have, where we're currently sitting at. So we'll go through one by one. But just knowing right now, we're sitting at 4.23, which, looking at some of the other proposed increases we're seeing around the area, totally reasonable. I think Kamloops is around a 12% increase right now, and everyone has different changes going on in the organization. So that's where we're sitting at right now. But I'll go into the very first budget line item, which is the legislative and community. So this is where council wages come in. So an increase of CPI, and then also where travel and conferences and training comes in. So what we're seeing year over year is quite an increase in hotel costs for annual conferences that we go to, which is SILGA, where we always budget for all of council to go, UBCM, all of council, and FCM, the mayor and 1 councillor. This year, UBCM is in Vancouver, which the hotel rates for Vancouver for about a 1-night stay is just over $600 a night. So not cheap. So this one has been increased based on projections. So year to date, 2025, we've spent just over almost 57,000 on conferences, of which 4 people went to SILGA. All 7 went to UBCM, just over 37,000. 2 went to FCM, which was a bit farther away than what's coming up. So that was in Ottawa. And then, we had a couple cancellations. So I guess the question is here, if council does want to terminate fat, if anyone is thinking there might not be going, I can take out a couple, or what council wants to do there for travel and conferences. So open the floor on that one.
Thank you, Bianca. Well, there's a couple things that we can do. We can split it. So half go to SILGA, half go to UBCM, which would cut that in half. Or we could look at, there's other ways to get around this as well. We could look at number of counselors, like we have 6 counselors. Does our community need 6 counselors? Can we move it to 4? Like, there are things that we can do that can help with this as well. So I guess let's start with conferences. Does council feel that 6 need to go to UBCM? Councillor Evans?
Well, with the ballooning costs of these counts, I think it might be a good idea for us to do that. And my other question is, can we just completely get rid of FCM this year? Unless it's something that you really think is necessary. I don't want to begrudge you that, but I didn't go to SILGA this year due to my health, but I think it's probably a good idea for us to consider these things, especially with the cost of hotels. I mean, if I went to UBCM, I could stay at my parents' place and drive in every day. That would save some money, but it is exorbitant, even with Trivago. So, yeah.
Okay, Councillor Rich?
Yeah, through the chair. I don't know if the Ottawa one, I've not seen, and I mean, I've not been there, so I can't say how much that brings back. I do feel like UBCM and all of us being there, I'm only 3 years in and I know it's incredibly expensive. I also feel like we make a lot of headway, and those relationships and sitting at a table with people, I've seen it. I've personally seen it where they may make eye contact with us and they're like, oh, you're talking about this? Sycamoose, I know you. Oh, I've been through there. Let's change it. Let's put some money into this. I honestly think between Silga, Ottawa, and UBCM is where Sycamoose, in my eyes, and I have been to Silga, makes the most difference for us. So if we had to cut, I would say that those two would be the cut, and that we continue fighting with the province. The province tends to represent us more than anything else, in my opinion.
Councillor Bushel.
Yeah, through the chair. Yeah, I've been to FCM and there's, I don't know how many, all the communities in Canada go there. You're just a very, very small pin on the table there. I don't think we get anything from FCM. I mean, it's great to be a partner and be a partner at FCM, but I didn't get anything from the conference. I mean, it was great. You learned a little bit, but you don't get the funding. It's not like you get funding from them, where UBCM, I don't think we'd be advancing where we are today without going to UBCM. So I would eliminate FCM. If you want to cut costs and limit the number of people to go to UBCM and Silga, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I do think Sycamoose wouldn't be where it is today without going to those meetings and sitting across the table with the ministers. That's my thought.
Councillor Evans.
Yeah, thanks to the chair. I agree with Councillor Rich. I think we should get rid of FCM, maybe cut down our contingent to Silga by half and keep UBCM because it's very important.
Thanks. Councillor Beach.
Yeah, through the chair. I did go to FCM this time, and I guess my concern is, we don't have FCM has to deal with federal issues, and our waters and the health of our waters are a federal issue. And if we don't send anyone to FCM, I was the only one that brought up about the zebra quagga mussel. It wasn't even on our FCM reps list of important issues. And I think that's fine until mussels arrive, and then we're going to be screaming. I just think that that's the one issue that concerns me, that we need pressure. Now, maybe we just need to lobby our FCM representative a little harder and make sure that gets brought up, because it really wasn't on her list of priorities. But that concerns me, and that's a big issue to us. If our waters go down, we go down.
Thanks, Pam. Councillor McCabe.
Thank you. Yeah, looking at the cost, we're not sending a lot of people to FCM, and it's the least of all the costs, $8,000. I think it's good to have representation there. I think I agree with Gord Bushel and some other comments about UBCM. I think we gain a lot from that, and just bumping shoulders with other councillors, other regional districts, mayors. You generate new ideas, or you can copy ideas that are already there, using best practices. I think we gain a lot of benefit from those, and our budget's sitting at 4.23%. If we go to all these conferences the way they're laid out here, I think 4.23% in the budget is reasonable to present to our taxpayers. I think we should go to all of these myself.
Thanks, Councillor McCabe. Councillor Rich.
Through the chair too, Silga, we don't actually have to eliminate it because it's Revy. So we are an hour away. So there are opportunities where maybe it's travel time. And if all the councillors want to go, we either carpool or we come back and forth. I go to Revelstoke for lunch on a good day. It's really great restaurants out there. So again, is there a way that we can mitigate, still make our presence, move forward and do that? UBCM, honestly, the importance that I feel like that provincial one is our biggest bang for our buck. And that is where we have seen huge differences for Sycamoose.
Thanks. And I agree with Malcolm. I think FCM, we should still have representation. So it's in Edmonton. It's like going to Revy. So,
Well, it's not.
well, Councillor Rich, it is. It's not bad. And if I were going to Edmonton, perhaps we take the extra councillor out. And I, like Bob, have family in Edmonton, so I can cut some costs there. But I do believe that FCM is important for us to show up at. Councillor Evans.
Yeah, I like Siobhan's idea of us going to Silga and let's just carpool and save some money because that'd be a lot of hotel money saved. And it's just a hop, skip and a jump.
Correct. I agree. Councillor Bushel.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we're in the early stages of budgets and these are great information, Bianca, thank you. And as we get down to some hard decisions in our final days, this is, one area we can cut if we want to go back to it and cut. So.
Sale.
Comment about FCM, I think that you don't have grants right now, but they are a source of grant opportunities, that some level of participation is important. You don't want to totally be cut out of FCM. There are big grants that come through their program. We don't have one today, but as we go into wastewater and some of these other pieces, there will be important pieces that we're going to look to the federal government for. There's big infrastructure dollars apparently coming in 2026. So seeing where that comes out and how it comes out on a national level, it's going to be important to be a part of those conversations.
Councillor Evans.
I'm not a math genius, but I did a little math on not the hotels in Revelstoke and we'd save about 3,000 a night. We drove.
Councillor Bushel.
Yeah, and then the other thing too on FCM, I mean, maybe it is good we have representation there, but it maybe should be just maybe the mayor and our CAO, because he's so familiar with infrastructure stuff. So maybe that's the way to look at it too. So.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay. Bianca?
Yeah, I just have a suggestion just from hearing everyone. If we were to still want to, we could bring this budget back down to 55 if we were to cut one participant from FCM, still send one person, and then budget one less person for Silga, knowing that the last few years we've only sent 4 of them, only ended up, everyone's wanted to go, but it's just never worked for everyone. So if we just bring it down to 6 and we can look for opportunities for carpooling if all 7 do end up being able to go, but there's a good chance someone doesn't know their plans for April 29th.
Absolutely.
So if council's fine with that, I can just bring it down to 55. And if, new council next year, everyone wants to go, we do next year, see all these lovely guys right here for election, they go away next year. So it'll kind of, bump, if we need to bump it to 60, back up to 60. If council's okay with that, but, or I can just leave it for now. Everyone can just kind of think about it and then come back to it. Draft 2, just putting it out there.
Councillor Evans.
Yeah, April's a busy month for me. I got another conference to go to, so you can pull me out of Silga. I would save 1.
So
I'll drive.
And are we okay with going down to 2 or just 1 for FCM this year and then reevaluate for 2027? Depending on who's on council?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, carry on, Bianca.
That brings us to the election. So the annual election, between running the election, doing all the required advertisements, we have our contract for voting system, required legal materials for all those ballots and casual labor. And in addition to new council training costs, it's a budget impact of 61,000. So that one's just a one-timer and then it kind of goes away next year. This is where sometimes you have things that go up and things go down.
So, and I think that those are pretty hard costs. Like, I don't think that there's any way that we can scoot around those, is there? Like, those are things that need to be done for the election. There's nothing.
Yeah, and there's things like we don't have a crystal ball on, like, how many new counselors are we gonna have? How many new iPads and stuff like that. So yeah, this is just our best estimate at this time, but yeah, open to any questions about it.
Okay, carry on.
Okie dokie. And then I'm just gonna go down to community supports. So we have received a few requests. We have Mary in the audience today with the seniors. So right now with community supports, I've just displaying it as same budget as last year right now for council discussion. So we have our $40,000 that goes to Shuswap Community Foundation. Hot off the press, I've included in the agenda. Those grants have been decided on, so we can look at that. We have Eagle Valley Arts Council, $5,000. This $5,000 is linked to arts grants within the province. They get matching grant funding from the province for this one, and we have an agreement in place for them. We have Shuswap Trail Alliance contract that we have, and we also library hours, which is we also have earmarked annually $10,000 for Communities in Bloom. So different initiatives around town for beautification. And then age-friendly initiatives, $4,000. This year, council did a resolution to use this $4,000 for our seniors center. Carrying forward, we had CSIS operating support of $2,000 last year, and then we have $2,000 unspecified. This year, that $2,000 has not yet been spent. So that's where we're sitting at currently for community supports. However, we do have some requests attached to the agenda, which includes, sorry, I'm just gonna go over this quickly. So Shuswap Community Foundation, they're sending out letters this week to all the organizations know. So there's money, every single applicant from our community received a little bit of money here. We're happy. I think they're just finding out about this right now. So Eagle Valley Rescue Society is receiving $7,800 for extrication rope rescue equipment. And the seniors is also down here, is receiving $25,000.
2,500.
2,500, sorry, not 25,000. All overseas. Yeah, so that's over $40,000 going into our community, which is fabulous. And I also did a summary just over since we've moved it to the foundation, the different organizations that money has gone to over the last 7 years. To the tune of $277,000. So very important plot that the committee gives out every year. And I'm actually, if Councillor Rich has any comments on that one through the chair, as she is our committee member.
Yeah, I would love to speak to this through the chair. One, I want to thank our board and Robin Keating, and we have local residents that sit on this board. And this is a great board because you get to give out money, but you also have to look that the ask is 80,000 and we've got $40,000 to give out. And everybody works really, really hard to make sure that the community continues to have the funding and the help where we can. So if anybody has questions, I feel like Robin would be happy to reach back, but well done, Sycamoose.
Yeah. With that, so we do have a few requests outside of that community grant system. We have a request from Shuswap Watershed Council for $5,000. Then they would like this on an annual basis for operating. We have a request from Miss Ferry Society this year for $7,500 for support. And we have Sycamoose and District Seniors Activity Center, which Mary's here, if there's any questions on that, for $5,000. So Looking around at other communities and how they kind of approach these sort of requests. It's a mixed bag, but what I am seeing is majority of councils will always hear out their requests and then bring it back to their budget deliberations times. So I know when I worked in Salmon Arm, there was just a referrals binder and counselors were able to speak to those referrals and decide if they would like to give a financial support. So with that, I'll hand it.
Thank you, Bianca. Councillor Bushel.
Yeah, through the chair, I was curious about the community foundations, just the timing. Like, I know we've always done it this time of the year. And I was just wondering, we didn't. Anyway, it just seems like it's going cart before the horse. But anyways, it should line up with our year, like our final budget deliberations. I didn't know if the timing was right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Through the chair. So we have an agreement with them that still goes on for like a few more years where it's 40,000.
Yeah.
So that's why it's outside of the budget deliberations is because it's via the agreement we have in place with them already.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
And through the chair, it actually was, we used to do it in July, and what happened was summer was like a little bit crazy and getting all the board members down. So we've got the budget, we can hand it out when we can, and then we also work with Shuswap Community because they're working with a lot of other communities. But what we decided 2 years ago was to move it to October because then everybody that's sitting on the board we're not, because it was July and we're like, yeah. Everybody's panicking around trying to make it happen. So we thought October was the best time. So that actually doesn't have to do with our budget. We have the money. We don't know where it's going. People can apply. And then it gives the board and Shuswap Community Foundations time to work through stuff. So that's why that date's there.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, does anyone have any comments or questions on what our asks are here?
Malcolm does.
Go ahead, Malcolm. Councillor McCabe.
Oh, no, I took my hand down. I was going to ask about Eagle Valley Transportation, but I seen the line in there. And thank you for that consideration. With my EBT hat.
Thank you. And we also have a new one, which is the Sycamoose Ferry Society. But I'd like to make a motion that we have a conversation with Area E regarding financial support for the Ferry Society and look into the EOF fund to see if we can give them some support from there. So do you need more than that from me?
Nope, just a seconder.
Okay, and as far as an amount goes, I think that we'll have a discussion with Director Martin on that. Is that okay? Okay, could I get a seconder, Councillor Rich? Okay, all in favor?
Discussion?
Yeah, oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I support the Ferry Society 100%. Will it come back? Like, will they be providing financials and all that? At all? Like, I mean, like, I know when I applied for the EOF fund, they really drilled down on financials. So we have a look at those too.
The Ferry Society's financials are coming to the next cow.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll have financials and we'll be able to share them. Councillor Rich.
What do we have through the chair? What do we have in the OF?
Sorry, before.
You know this?
Yeah, it's
450.
should be up there now. Even
Starting to know the C30 website pretty good.
The numbers in my head are all smushing together too.
Opportunity draft to. Non-committed funds projected for their 2025 budget was 528,000.
520. Okay, thank you.
There's a couple capital projects that'll be coming to our next meeting that I'm hoping to dip into for EOF, so, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
We get a motion to carry that?
yeah, we do. Is that any more discussion on that? Okay, all in favor? Thank you. That's carried. Okay, any other questions about asks? Okay, we're all good. Okay, Bianca, carry on. Bianca, before you do.
We'll still come back and go, because it didn't fit in the budget process. Forward, right?
Okay,
There isn't specific direction yet, but if you want to have, you can
well, let's bring it back a second time and we'll have that.
come back.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, sounds good. No, sorry, go ahead.
Just a reminder too, this is draft one.
Yep,
Not
I know.
finalized and come back. What I'm hoping to do is taking all these attachments at the end and making like a budget binder. And council can review it and see if there's any tweaks they want to make. Okay, so next, general revenue and debt servicing. So we do get a couple different pockets of money, one being federal, provincial, grants in lieu. So these are for of the properties around town that are provincially and federally owned. This is RCMP, BC Liquor Store, Canada Post, those sorts of things. So based on, just like all of our other properties, it's all based on assessment, and their assessments have actually gone down a little bit. So just bringing that down closer to actuals. We get 1% levies from BC Hydro and TELUS, and we actually receive notification of how much we'll be getting a year in advance. So we get the notifications in October. And interestingly enough, I think people must be saving electricity in town because ours is actually going down a little bit. And also TELUS, we've seen a decrease as well. So this one, I am not sure at this time what the implications of fiber is going to be. I'm hoping that this number goes up a little bit when people start using fiber. Right now, I'm thinking we're seeing a bit of a decrease because we have more people moving to options like Starlink and options that kind of away from this. So hopefully we'll be boosting this back up next year, but at this point, I do not want to. Just to be a little bit conservative. Taxation penalties, we've been consistently over 60K, so I'm just bumping that up by 5,000 this year, and that's the 10% penalty for those that pay late. Interest on outstanding taxes, I've decreased this a little bit. Our interest rates are going down, so it's determined that we'll get a little bit less interest there. We take our interest rates directly from the province. They base it on prime, so that's why this is going down. Our small community grant this year went down a little bit. That one is based on a very complicated formula based on resident numbers and all of that. So adjusting that one. Interest on cash balances with interest rates going down. So is this, and we also have a little bit less cash. When we did our health center, we received $3 million up front, of which we were able to bring in some interest on that, and that has now been used up. And then, but also with interest rates going down, we're paying a little bit less on prepayments. So that one is flipping the other way. So ins and outs of this one net to a change of $8,300. And then debt servicing, we have one short-term debt left being paid off this year, which was for the 425 lands that the seniors and attainable housing are on. So this will be the last year of that. So next year, we will be removing this item of 61,000, and interest has been down. As we'll be paying this one off. Usually what we do is we do our payment in August after our taxation revenues come in. So yeah, if there's any discussion.
News story.
Items.
Excellent. Council, any questions? Councillor Rich?
Through the chair, Bianca, I didn't see, now I know we've got railway crossing coming up on a different thing, but we've got money back, I believe, in the past from CPR.
CP Rail, yes, they do pay in taxes, but they're in general taxation.
They go to general. Okay,
Yes.
that's why I was wondering when I was reading through it. Makes sense. Thank you.
Anything else? No, you're good. Okay, let's go. Let's keep moving, Bianca.
Keep going. Okay, and then we have corporate and admin. This one, just some smaller changes. Travel and conferences, just looking at actuals and bringing down a little bit based on the past couple of years. Insurance, this is our MIABC, and we're just seeing a larger increase in rates. So bumping that up. Other than that, no real changes. Anyone wants to discuss corporate and admin at all?
No, I think we're good. Carry on.
Finance and human resources. Bumping up tax certificate revenue a bit. And NSF fees, we are gonna be moving to our own online platform for tax certificates. So right now, we offer tax certificates through the LTSA, the land titles. We get $20, and LTSA, the platform that they use, gets about 80. So we're looking to move to cloud-based service, and that's why our IT has gone up a bit down here, and taking some of that revenue in ourselves. This $100+ gets recovered through our legal notaries and everything, and Salmon Arm. We're trying to take a bigger piece of the pie, moving it online. I think that will be good. For revenue, travel, conferences, and training, I've reduced based on prior actuals and planned conferences for this year. And yeah, the IT and computer software, we're finding larger increases in software. We're going to be making a few changes this year, getting more things online. How we're currently set up, we've had a few issues over the last 2 years of our online services going down. So we want to move it over to one platform. Right now we have a remote desktop. This is a little bit in the weeds, but a remote desktop with SysGen, and then we have Central Square, which is our accounting software, and we're trying to just move it all in one. So we're only dealing with one vendor when things crash. So simplifying that. Legal and audit. Annually, we have our audit increases. So 2,000 for that. Reducing our asset management a little bit based on actuals. And yeah, open to questions there.
Questions, anyone? Councillor McKay, if you're good.
Yes, I'm fine. Thanks for checking.
You're very welcome, Councillor Evans.
Yeah, just reiterating that I found in all the different spheres of influence that I'm involved with, that the IT, computer, and security and subscriptions, they've all gone up, and they're all necessary. We have to protect ourselves in this world of hackers and.
Absolutely. Yeah. And money does have to be put into security for the district, for sure. Okay, keep going.
That actually brings me to my next good point, which is IT services, security, and core software. So this number would have actually gone up a bit, except by increasing this a little bit, we're not seeing the increase here. Because we have moved just how things are working a little bit. But yeah, we spend about $188,000 on our IT services. But when you think about that, when it comes to, staffing and bang for your buck, you need you need a staff member, you need all the software to go behind it. And on top of it, that staff member is one that you need backfill when they're gone. So we contract out our IT services because we're too small to have an employee. And for $188,000 for protecting ourselves, I think we're pretty good there. And we're extremely happy with SysGen and yeah, things are going good there. So my little plug for SysGen, and we're very happy with them and Jarrell.
Well, that's good. Yeah, he does a really good job for us when he's there when we need him. Okay, so I'm not an IT guru. This is probably Counselor Evans or whoever, not me. So all of our information, is it stored here or is it stored in a cloud, or it's stored in a cloud? So
Remote desktop, it's called. It's stored remotely. Yeah.
okay,
Yes.
all right, that's good to know. Okay, thank you. You can keep going.
So next one is district projects. So we have our bylaw and policy updates, carrying the same budget, 40,000. Waterway advocacy, so head lease, dredging, and any sort of kind of ministry requirements that we run into with that. 10,000. This staff and is working with MOTT and just kind of finishing up our transportation corridor study. So that's getting removed from the budget. So savings of 50,000. And right now our housing library is becoming online and active. So not currently earmarking any money for those. And then we do have some other, projects through grant funding. We have our Fire Smart program, 2-year funding, which we're looking to renew this year coming up. We had our complete communities, which finished up and gave us good information about our water and sewer infrastructure for ops. We had our Vision Zero traffic calming grant, which gave us our traffic speed signs that are over at the dog park right now. Those came in at, I think the grant was about 13,000. Budgeted, we went for 20, but got 13, which is pretty good. We have our NG 911 updates, which is going through the CSRD. We have our emergency management and Indigenous engagement, which again is going through the CSRD as a regional effort, and our official community plan and other required updates of 163,000, which will probably have a little bit of carryover, which I will do at year end. So we'll flush into the financial plan, just undetermined what the amount is, but no tax impact there. So
Questions? Counselor Rich?
Through the chair, when we look at IE head lease dredging, 10 grand, is that sneeze?
No.
No. Okay, so what is that?
So that this year, when we've been looking at doing like a head lease and stuff like that, there's requirements in that with readying and all that. So we've had, maybe I'll pass to Dean on just kind of some of those parts.
It's where?
So we've submitted an application. We have a contractor working on the head lease component for us with the province.
Yeah.
And this is where that funding comes from.
And 10 grand is going to cover that?
At this point, yes.
Go ahead.
Sorry, second question. And when we go down to, grant, emergency management and Indigenous engagement, 40 grand, carry over to be announced. It's something I just don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Through the chair. So all of our different, through the province, everyone deals with emergency management differently. So we fall under the program with the CSRD. There is some, municipalities within the CSRD that don't fall into the program, Golden, Revelstoke. We've all been given pots of money to our individual municipalities, of which we are to determine where that needs to go to cover off this new legislature, which is touching on when an emergency happens, how can we better support our Indigenous partners, and what does that communication look like? So the CSRD has engaged Collier, which is working on kind of a plan in order to meet that legislation. So really it's province gave us some new legislation we have to follow. Us, because we're part of the EOC with the CSRD, we're handing that money to the CSRD to deal with, and it's 100% covering the cost of that Collier to do the requirements for the legislation.
Can I have a?
Go ahead.
Okay, just so like dumbing it down for me, Bianca, and I know it's me. So we're giving them $40,000. So if an emergency comes up, and then to also deal like or work with our Indigenous. So say when we had the fire, we had to move everyone out of Dogwood in that area, and we had folks here, and so that funding is not directly correlated to that. That also speaks to our Indigenous.
Yeah, so through chair, so it's to create the plans and the processes to make sure when event like that happens, that if there's any, there might be disruptions to water streams of which, or fish habitat, which Indigenous, like really making sure that there's proper communication when events happen with all parties. Because I guess there has been a lot of emergencies that have taken place where they've looked back and said we can do better, and province has made legislation to really make it so we're held accountable and making sure that the processes we do a bit better. If that makes sense?
Yeah, and just one more. So we just give that money to CSRD and they deal with it.
Yeah, we are still like pulled in to ensure that we are, so I actually went to one in Revelstoke, where Collier's just brought everyone together and just asked like, how would this out? So just getting our staff involved as well. We are getting a little bit involved, but not to the lengths that the CSRD is with their EOC program.
Okay, I think I understand. I appreciate it.
Any other questions? Okay, go.
Okay, so the next one, planning and development. So this one, I'll zoom out a bit. We were actually almost bang on in what we guessed for business license last year. We weren't exactly sure with increasing rates a bit and everything like that, but we came in right around the $102,000 mark, so leaving it there. Travel and conferences and training, bringing it down 2,000. Last year we weren't exactly sure, especially with Dean coming on, what our planning department was going to look like last year. So we're budgeting $6,000 this year, bringing it down $2,000 from last year. Little change in telephone, just based on TELUS. Materials and supplies, just bringing it back closer to actuals, and then just increasing vehicle maintenance insurance. We do have an EV coming for that was included in the 2025 budget. It should be getting delivered in January, so it'll be our second EV for getting planning around and stuff for looking at the different developments. And yeah.
Questions?
I'm gonna do an interesting plug. Vehicle insurance for EVs are much higher than just a regular vehicle, which I found fascinating, but nice. Next one, bylaw enforcement. So last year we looked at our parking fines and really had a hard look now this year on what did that look like? Why are we not collecting as many, or why are we not issuing as many MTI tickets as in the past? So looking back at prior numbers, I would say 75% of our parking fees collected in the past were from the truck and trailer parking along the Trans-Canada Highway. And we don't have that anymore. So adjusting that down to $10,000 this year, and also collecting on parking tickets is a little bit more difficult than one would think. We're all unpaid parking tickets we're sending to collections, of which they take a 35% cutoff. So we're currently this year we've collected $7,500 in parking fines. We're thinking we'll do a little bit better next year, but bringing it down to $10,000 there. And just a little increase in travel and conferences, just to make sure our bylaw enforcement officer is going down to the annual conference and staying on top of best practices. So with that,
Anyone have questions on bylaw? Councillor Rich.
You're the chair, and I mean, I think I've been the bane of Dean's. I call him once a week about the trucks all over town, that we have signs out and that we don't. And I don't know who else is driving around all day, but I drive around all day. We have an issue with semi trucks, and that is not in the spaces I've just identified with you. That is on the highway. They're just parked all over the place, and it is an issue. I don't know if that can become a focus and it can become like a tax, a cash grab, let's be honest. But it seems like Sycamoose is a free-for-all right now. And when you look at some of the bigger towns, like if you read a little bit about Surrey and stuff that they're doing, in the past, Sycamoose hasn't had the issue. Everyone went to the Husky, they parked there, it was fine. Now, any given day, we have trucks in the subdivision, we have them on the highway, we have them next to, it doesn't matter what the no parking sign says. And I think that maybe is a place where we can make money, or maybe we can't because they are moving through the country, that we're not going to get that money back. It's an issue, and I get a lot of calls on it. It is the semi parking wherever they feel like. They stop in the middle of the streets, literally. They're at the schools, and and Dean and I talk once a week about it. So yeah, that's just my spiel on that, and maybe there's a way to make a bit more money off it.
Thank you, Councillor Bushel.
Yes, through the chair, I kind of agree with Siobhan about the parking infractions, especially out at the Husky and alongside the new Dairy Queen. And those big trucks are actually pounding out our asphalt on some of those roads. And, if we don't stop them from parking half on the road and half off the road, it just keeps pounding out our road and our taxpayers pay for it. So that's why we have bylaw and that's why we pay them. So, I'd like to see a little more enforcement on those areas if we can. And then the other one was the moorage. We have somebody down there that parks, they're there all the time. And I don't know if the deal we have with SAR is to oversee that. But the guy's still down there. He's parking there. He parked there. He's there all summer. And Dean, we know which guy it is. And he's there again. He's been there for a couple of weeks again. And I just think we should, they should be getting a place and paying our businesses for mortgage instead of sponging off the taxpayers. Thanks.
So there is a process for impounding boats that are left on the marina. That happened this week, so that boat is gone now.
Good, thank you.
And I agree with the rest of council. I think that we are missing some major infractions. I notice it at Old Town a lot, and I get calls in town here when we do ticket, and people are saying, well, why am I getting, well, you're parked in a 2-hour parking space. So, if you're staying there overnight, then that's a problem. So if I were in that situation, I'd be ticketed as well. So I think there is an opportunity to, I want to say, better educate some of our visitors and parkers, but I don't know how many more signs we can put out. We put out signs at the wharf on the end of Main Street saying 2 to 3 hour parking, whatever it is, and that's not working. We have no overnight parking on Old Town Road, and that's not happening. We have a bike path, a bike and walking path on Old Town Road, which generally has people parked on it. So we're not out there addressing some of our issues. So they're growing. So I think that we need to do better. And I don't know if we need to do better by putting more money into bylaw, or I'm not sure what the solution is. So I think it does need to be addressed, because there are some, Highway 97, you get truckers parked on Highway 97 all night, and they don't have flashers and flares out. You creep up on those guys on a dark night right now and they are there. So it's it's an issue. CAO, Counselor Beach and Counselor Bob.
So for
I
this,
wasn't sure which one of you put up your hand. I lost it over here somewhere.
for this particular item today, this is just about the anticipated revenue from ticketing. And Bianca's outlined, we are sort of high circulation locations we've lost with the bridge construction. Those are where you get significant revenue. If you have a large parking lot with a lot of people violating, we can just write 50 tickets in a day. That's, it's kind of a catch-22 because, you begin to over-enforce and people are irritated to come to Sycamoose, then that's a problem as well. I think there's some definite areas that have been identified and that is a part of our enforcement action. I don't think it's going to dramatically increase our revenue, so to budget at higher revenue, anticipating that we're going to get more of those people to pay. I think we need to have that discussion around more active enforcement in specific locations. And I certainly think operationally we can do that. I think there's some structural pieces, and we had one that we worked with the Dairy Queen to help reduce how that works, especially in the summer months, and how we can reduce the opportunity to illegally park. Those things continue to be worked on, but I wouldn't suggest the council change the budget projection because I don't think the revenue, I think it's an operational more than a revenue opportunity. I wouldn't pursue, bylaw enforcement is intended to ensure that you have parking for the community and for your commercial operations, and the visitors respect that. So enforcement of it is important, but it should not be a major revenue opportunity, especially in a tourism community where it becomes something that you're proactively, you have an enforcement officer that's waiting for someone to walk away from their car to issue a ticket. It's not a great visitor experience. We want to make sure we avoid that, but at the same time have people follow the rules. So it is a balancing act, but it's not really today's discussion. This is more around how much you want to project for fines. And Bianca's identified that we've got specific areas that we used to get a lot of fine revenue from that don't exist now with the bridge construction. So we're reducing it to reflect that.
Thank you, point taken. And I agree, we should have a conversation around how to address this. Counselor Beach.
Yeah, we do need a conversation, and I guess I'm just wondering, do we ever impound or tow anybody? Do we ever have to if they've been, in infringement for a significant period of time?
We've done it.
We recover that cost?
Yes, we've done it with two vehicles and one boat this year.
Okay, but it would be really hard to do a semi-trailer truck.
You wouldn't tow a semi-trailer.
No, that doesn't solve the semi problem, but yeah, okay.
Counselor Evans.
Actually, CAO answered my question. Thank you.
Counselor Rich.
Yeah, through the chair, I guess one of the things is we look at the budget and good spin to get us back onto what we're supposed to be doing here today. But do we need more money for bylaw? This was, again, last year, a huge conversation. We hired Sam and Armin to cover our officers. And I guess that is where the mayor and myself were going is, do we need more enforcement to make, we're not trying to make anybody's experience in Sycamoose terrible, but if we put up rules, either pull all our signs and just park where you want to, or we enforce what we need. And I actually think that communications and, we've done a really, really good job letting people know on what is acceptable and not acceptable. I think it's well marked. I think we've had a great social media last year, and people just kind of continue to think, hey, Sycamoose isn't going to follow up. So the question wasn't, are we going to make more revenue on this? The question is, should we be spending more money on bylaw to make sure that when we ask people to follow rules and they choose not to, even after having good education, should we be paying more money into bylaw?
So I'll ask Bianca, because that's kind of your next phase of your budget deliberation. So this part is your
Tickets.
just expenditures, so you're looking at revenues, but that will be in the next conversation. I think that's at the next meeting. I'll let Bianca answer that.
Yeah, go ahead, Bianca.
So right now we've budgeted the same summer coverage. I think last year, talking to Nicole, it was kind of later in the year that the chalking really started, overnight chalking and stuff like that. And that seemed to be working pretty well for ticketing and stuff like that. I mean, for the most part, I think they found it pretty quiet they didn't feel that their services were needed more.
Okay.
The complicated part, especially with the truck and trailer parking, is a lot of times we'll get phone calls and say like, there's a bunch of trucks there, and then you go there and they're gone.
Yeah.
You know, they're there for 5 minutes. So, I don't know if that's, you know, if that extra summer coverage would really do the trick.
And if you can collect.
Yeah, I think really it's, working with Nicole and Dean to determine like if there is problem areas, when's it happening, and to get the routes going properly. But usually I think when it comes to the truck and trailer, it's during the day, so we do have staff on. So I don't know if increasing that summer coverage would really help.
Some of it's at night. They're parked overnight.
But that's where the chalking needs to happen. And then it started to.
That's Rich.
And through the chair, and I mean, again, this is a budget conversation, but the other thing is putting up barriers so they just can't park there. Because you're not getting the money back. They're traveling across Canada. They're not coming in. So it's literally making it that you can park here. And that's, in my opinion, what we need to do.
Bigger conversation around this coming up.
And an ongoing one.
Any other questions on this? Okay, let's keep moving.
Okay, so building inspection, this one has changed. There's ups and downs. This is going up, moving to a contracted position. With a lot of the builds currently going on in town, we require a Part 3 building inspector, of which we currently do have one on contract. So removing the an employee, just understanding our workflows. So decreases associated with having an employee doing this work, and then increase to the contracted services based on what we've been seeing our need is current builds going on in town.
Thank you. Council, any questions?
Okay. Parks, beaches, docks, and ramps. Nothing too crazy going on with this one. Just little changes with insurance and contracted services for our beaches, docks, and ramps. Whenever we kind of go close to the water, there is increasing costs for permitting and all sorts of that. So just bringing contracted services closer to actuals for the last couple of years.
Mr. Bushel?
Through the chair, just on the contractor services, like I was helping out with the tidy towners this year. And I just feel that, and I know Public Works is tapped out. I just think they need some summer help to help out in the summer to beautify, they don't have time to. And I know it's the businesses themselves should be doing a little bit more on Main Street, but it's not happening over the years. And I just feel that, our Public Works beautification needs a little bit more help. And it could be summer employment, or, just summertime only. And I really think we could do a little bit better job on Main Street. We were starting to do some work on Main Street, and I mean, there's some weeds 5-6 feet tall on Main Street, and it's in front of businesses, and it should be, it happens, right? Get down to around by the welding shop down there, the weeds get pretty tall, by distillery, between there and Brothers, and it's just it really shows. And until I got on that committee and started doing work in the morning, it's pretty eye-opening. So I don't know if we can fit something into contract services or where it can go, but I do think Public Works needs some help in the summertime. That's my opinion.
Thanks. That would be seasonal employees, adding on to the seasonal employee list. Councillor Evans.
So my question to that through the chair would be, is that because it's on their property and not, for lack of a better term, the jurisdiction of our men? Because if it's on their property, then it's their problem. And that I know it's our problem because of the way it looks, but I'm picking up what you're laying down, but I'm just kind of like wondering if that's the issue.
It's both. It is on the edge of their property and on our property. I mean, we even have the trees that are all graded. They're a huge liability. They're all raised up like 2 inches or off kilter. They should be flat and level. There's lots of patio bricks that it just, those little things need just some TLC for Main Street. I'm not saying do the whole town, but Main Street is really important, and I'd like to myself. I'd like to see a little bit more attention and have some summer self. I mean, Jillian can't handle all the work she's thrown, and I remember before when we had what was her name? She was driving the plow truck too in the wintertime. She had extra help, and we just don't. That's a lot of work out there. So that's my opinion.
Hey, Dean, you can go ahead, and then Councillor McCabe, Councillor Evans.
There are some grant opportunities that I'm exploring right now, and we bring to council as far as the opportunities for downtown improvements. And there's neighborhood improvement grants or smaller grants that we can look at those kind of components and work with our Chamber of Commerce, with the businesses and so forth. We do need the private property owners to participate and be a part of that process. We certainly can help, and our public works team does a great job of identifying issues and addressing issues on our property. But a lot of these issues are related to private property, and we need those owners to participate in that work.
Councillor McCabe.
Yeah, thank you. Is this the right platform to ask about the beaches that I think council already directed staff to clean up by the Legacy, the beach by the Legacy there, the beach by Mishawaka, at the end of Pogue, Flockhart Beach. We need to, we're a water town, a resort town, and we need to clean up our beaches, the ones that haven't been used in the past just because of neglect. Are we bringing those up to snuff in this budget?
Bianca, go ahead.
I just want to turn this kind of over to Daryl, put him on the spot. There was a lot of permitting that's required in order to even touch our beaches, and I know that took place this year. So if Daryl would like to just speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, through the chair, that was a bit of an issue this year. We had a permit for our different beaches, the different tenures that had expired, and in the fall we had reapplied to have them in place for the summer, and there was such a delay on that. We got it really late in the year. So Archibald specifically, we did get into Archibald twice and to Pope twice and did what we could at the beaches, but there's the high water to deal with, and then there's the permission to be granted as well. So that's all in place, and I would hope we get back on schedule next year. We've got all the permitting good for 3 years now. So
That's perfect, and you'll be able to do that before high water. Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Bianca. But did you want to? Oh, sorry, Councillor Evans.
Thanks. And just going back to Main Street, I completely agree with you, Gore, that we have to make it look better. It's important stuff. It's front door.
Councillor Bushel, then Councillor Rich.
Yeah, just to add on to that grant application, and we've talked about it, the Tidy Towners, we talked about whether it comes through Communities in Bloom or we somehow we could access some grant money and bring on some summer staff. But the other thing too, I just wanted to touch base on is at the beach park. And like Malcolm says, all our little beaches that we're a water community, but our beach park is really important because it's so well used, but there's some huge liability there when the water goes down right now with rocks at the bottom of the steps, and it's really dangerous over there. And I've watched on weekends, things, people trying to get down from the steps down onto the beach. It's just it's not a legal step, and it's really dangerous. And I've seen some things, I just shake my head and I just turn the other way because people are actually trying to walk down there they have stuff on, trying to carry stuff, and you think they're going to bust their ankle on one of those steps because it's they walk onto boulders or they walk onto that. So there's that I think we should take a good look at while the water's low. And the other thing I always wanted to do is to finish painting the bridge. And if you walk around the community and you look at some of the like the crossing that goes across Silver Sands. That bridge was put in and raised, our first term, and it still hasn't been painted. It's primed and scratched, and it hasn't been painted to match the bridge and just, just things like that. So that's where we could use some extra help. I think, Public Works is in need of some extra help, some fine tuning for, the community to spruce it up a bit. That's my.
Maybe there's an opportunity just to hire a contract on a short term with a to-do list. Like, maybe that's an opportunity rather than bringing on. I don't know. It's Councillor Rich, go ahead.
Yeah, through the chair. I mean, we're talking about, and we just had a chat about bylaw, and we're talking about businesses that are maybe not maintaining and keeping up what they need. And again, is that an education piece that you have not been expected to keep that? You're on Main Street or Finlayson or Riverside for that matter. Let's take a look. Is that and I'm not saying finding people, but is that a conversation going, here's your property, we expect you to keep it at a certain level? And I don't think that Sycamoose has done a really great job over the last 4 years that I've been here doing that. And then we push it back onto PW and we're like, why isn't PW keeping up? Well, PW's got a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, like keeping our water moving and our sewer working, and a lot of other things. So, for me, we either put it in the budget and put, when we have great people that are trying to maintain the street, but to ask PW to do all this and then ask them to maintain spaces that maybe aren't ours, like, again, does that go back to putting more funding into bylaw and having those conversations and then following up on this? This is your piece of property. You need to keep it nice.
Thanks. Just so the gallery is aware, there will be a public input at the end of the financial meeting.
So service level adjustment will come in your next session. As far as if you want to look at increasing your public works services available, that's the opportunity to do it. This would be more related to the other budgetary items. So that service level and being able to have staff resources to do those things, that'll come in your next discussion. So that's a little bit further down in the budget process, but there definitely would be an opportunity for council to consider that. That's the thermostat of service level that you want to adjust, and that opportunity will come.
Perfect. Any other Councillor Evans, Councillor Bushel?
I agree with Councillor Rich. I think part of the unsightly stuff would mean that we actually are on unsightly premises bylaw enforcement to motivate people to do a better job. Mula speaks.
Absolutely. Councillor Bushel?
Just through the chair, one other thing I have on my list, the handicap beach ramp. I know it's been brought up in previous budget. We haven't done anything, but I was asked again the other day, and I just thought I'd bring it up again and see if there's any possible way we can figure out some mats or a little bit of a boat ramp somewhere so that the handicap can also use the lake.
Councillor Rich?
Through the chair, again, following that, because that was actually my next question, was we're actually paying the CSRD now for an accessibility. I haven't seen it yet, maybe coming up. It's not a huge amount of money, but we have been asked by the provincial, not asked, forced by the provincial government to pay into accessibility, which we signed a contract with the CSRD. I feel like it's about a year. So again, is that somewhere that we can push forward and look for money from them?
Go ahead, Bianca.
So that requirement is for all communities to have a committee in place, and then from there, I think there's 2 or 3 years until each community kind of has to formalize an accessibility. Let's see, I want to say this. Sorry, I'm not the expert on this one. So there's going to be things coming from that, but that isn't going to be under the CSRD's bucket of doing like projects. It's going to come to us. So the committee part is CSRD, because all of the participating areas need some form of a committee. The actual execution of projects is going to come to this board. I don't know if Shauna wants to add anything to that one.
Yeah, thank you,
Go ahead.
Chair. I just wanted to add to, yeah, it's a regional accessibility committee that we are participating in, and it was just determined that that was the more efficient means to come up with those plans. And then anything that falls out or is identified then would be up to the jurisdiction that it falls in, or the municipality that it falls in. And I'm not sure where we're at with that accessibility committee, but I can look into it and bring that back.
Thank you. Councillor Rich?
Yeah, I'm through the chair on that one. I think it was close to 2 grand or 25 without a cap. And a lot of promises. The money went into the CSRD, so we don't have a committee, we don't have a representative. They wanted, I think 2 or 3 people from our committee, our community to be there. So there's no, we've just given them some money and
There is,
we've got
I
nothing.
think we do have one representative. I can't remember who it is.
Is it Jackie?
I want to say it's
I
Jackie.
want to say it's Jackie. That would be too.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, they,
good to know.
But
But we needed
you.
3.
No.
Good to get that information because, yeah.
Okay. Okay, Councillor Beach.
Yeah, about the accessibility, it would be something that the seniors definitely need to have a representative on. Okay,
Answer your question.
I haven't heard.
I'm sorry.
I didn't hear. So,
Yeah.
Answer your question about the beach. The infrastructure that you see for accessibility in places like Penticton, the water fluctuation on Okanagan Lake is so much less than it is in the Shuswap. The actual infrastructure that they've utilized, it doesn't require permitting from the province. Wouldn't work here because our water rises too quickly and too fast. In order, it would overwhelm the infrastructure and it moves the sand too much. So it wouldn't work for Sycamus to do that. So we would have to design something that would be more structural and apply for the permitting through the. Did explore the matting they use in the Okanagan and where I came from in Kelowna previous to this employment. They were utilizing that, but Okanagan Lake is just such a different water body. And the way it fluctuates, I think it's about 0.5 meter to 1 meter versus the Shuswap. It's just so dramatically different. Our beach wouldn't work for our beach. So we'll continue to explore it. If we do find a viable option that would work here, we would have to make those provincial applications and we would do that. And there's great grant opportunity to do it. We're just not exactly sure where or how we could do it at this point.
We are an 18-foot fluctuation, so it's complicated. Councillor Bushel.
Yeah, through the chair, I did approach Twin Acres, our local manufacturer, and Todd said he could build one fairly easy. And so we should maybe reach out to him and talk to him because I know we fluctuate, but it's so doable. I'm just,
Okay. Daryl, did you want to comment on any of these?
I mean, we can look into it. Yeah, we can certainly ask Todd.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's move along to our favorite topic, mosquitoes.
Not much of a change. I think this one kind of fluctuates every year based on the amount of rain we get. I don't know if everyone remembers our lovely presentation on mosquitoes. I thought it was one of the most fascinating presentations.
I know we were all fascinated by it.
Gosh, so
It was just like, and there are so many kinds, right? So many different kinds.
So I think me and Daryl actually looked at actuals today, and I think we ended up spending $120, like $200. So we keep it at about the same, knowing that based on rainfall, it changes every year.
So I have a quick question, Daryl. Is there an opportunity to look at drones as opposed to
As opposed to the helicopter.
helicopter? And is there cost savings? And is there a better job that we could do?
In terms of what was done, I didn't get a lot of complaints this year for the wet year that we had. So comparatively, this year was really low for complaints or concerns by people. So I think the job that was done was pretty good. The drones, I would question the capacity for them to lift that big hopper and get it around. It's a big area that helicopter flies. I mean, I can ask the question, but I kind of doubt it would be feasible. Like I can look into.
It's always good to find out. Councillor Rich. Councillor Bushel.
through the chair, I was gonna ask the same question, Colleen, because that's how they, in the US, that's how they're spraying crops now, is with drones. And they have huge areas to spray. And I just wondered if, I mean, I'm gonna hand it to our contractor. We live in a great place and we don't have any problems with mosquitoes that, everybody says, how come you don't have any mosquitoes? And I think they're doing a good job. But I was curious about drones as well, because they're starting to go that direction.
That's the question.
And thank you. And we do have feet on the ground as well in those, in some of those spaces.
Definitely.
Mosquito control. So maybe a drone could even, who knows, like, okay. All right. Any other mosquito questions? Okay, Bianca?
Writing down through question mark. The next one, Public Works, Common Services. So not much of a change here. Actuals are looking pretty good. Compared to budget. The one thing that we are doing this year is reallocating some of our equipment costs to our water and sewer functions. So moving to pay from common services. So just a reminder for council, really we have like 3 buckets. We have our general taxation and then we have water and sewer. And they are, they fall under more of a user pay model. So if you have water and sewer, you pay into those ones. So this is just making sure that those users of water and sewer are paying for the equipment applicable to water and sewer. So this one's actually just going down a little bit. I don't know if there's any questions there. Yeah.
Councillor Bushel.
Through the chair, yeah, I was went to the wastewater ponds the other day for a tour with Daryl and staff, and it was really interesting to see the work they've done over there and a lot of work they've done over there. And yeah, just on the equipment side, I know what you just have PW equipment costs, bulk fuel. Great to see we have a bulk fuel tank now and saving money that way. That's a great thing, so you don't have to run out to the Husky to pick up fuel and stuff like that. But the other thing was a skid steer. I noticed that, the work they're doing out there is our skid steer is a little bit smaller and can't sometimes lift the loads that it really should be able, and a skid steer with tracks on it to soften the footprint for what they're doing. They could use it multitask in the district, but they could also they really need it for those ponds. And this won't be the end of cleaning ponds. Once we get this done, it'll be an ongoing thing. So we should probably take a look at swapping over fairly soon. Maybe, I know we're renting one right now, but if we can take over the lease, or, it's something we should think about.
Already being thought about. So okay.
Thanks.
It'll be coming.
Coming soon to a budget near you.
Fascinating. Great work.
December 11th, that's our plug, be here.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to engineering. No changes there, business as usual. Roads, bridges, sidewalks and drainage. Increasing our road patching costs. Asphalt costs are not going down and are not expected to. With some older roads, just beefing that up a little bit there. Another one, storm. So in the past, what's been getting done is our storm systems have been getting flushed out partially, not a full flush for the year, which we're finding isn't the best practice. So increasing that so we can do a full flush of our storms every year.
Just to clarify, sorry to jump in, when we do it partially, Bianca's meaning we do half the town at a time, not.
Nilly.
Potato. Go ahead, Bianca.
And now that we have a fully constructed bridge and everything, or new bridge over at Salasqua, our insurance for that bridge is about $9,900, almost $10,000 a year. So bringing that up to what it's actually costing. So for roads, bridges, sidewalks and drainage, increase of just under 18,000.
I look at this and I go, is that enough? You know, like are we being skinny? Like, are we just being really?
If you give Daryl more money for patching, he will find more patching to do.
No, and I get it, but there is a lot of patching to do and a lot of fixes that we need to do. And so is there money is this the only money? Or are we putting money in reserves for this as well? So that we do have extra, because we do need to bump up our reserves because we do have a lot of stuff on our plate just to maintain the district. So go ahead, Bianca.
So again, on December 11th, we'll look at our roads, because really patching is, it's not capital because we're not redoing a whole road. It's what it is, patching. So if you're looking at probably best bang for your buck, it'd probably be increasing the amount so you're actually going in to fully do a piece of road and not patch it. Yeah.
Councillor Rich.
Yeah, just through the chair, and that was kind of where I was gonna go with this, is patching its little spots, and PW has last year we had a great budget and you had a really great plan, like we're slowly moving through the town, so if you're spending time in the tree streets and stuff, you can actually see where things are getting done, so I think that would, if I was asked, that we're better off throwing money into that and we make do when needed, but last year Dale had a really great plan, and we've got like a 5-year plan that we're slowly getting everything done.
Yeah, through the chair, both buckets are really important. This has been enough for us to go out and problems that kind of surface over the year. The paving capital piece will identify some roads so we can keep going strategically.
2 different buckets. Yeah. Okay, got it. Any other questions? Okay, Bianca, you can keep moving. Daryl, any other comments okay.
My next one is cemetery, tree topping, and houseboat kiosk. I don't know why I decided to group those 3 together last year, but I'm still going.
That is a mixed bag, isn't it?
Cemetery staying pretty status quo. This year we are going to be looking to increase our cemetery rates. However, we are seeing a decrease in numbers, which, I mean,
good thing. Good, that's good news.
It's because people are looking to alternatives to putting loved ones in cemeteries. You know, they're sprinkling them around random places or keeping them on their shelves. I don't know. But so even with our increase, we're not seeing enough to bump that revenue up. So that's cemetery. Do you want to talk about cemetery before I go on to tree topping, because they're so different?
Yeah, let's do that. Does anyone have any cemetery questions?
It's gonna be like a broken record from last year. So Area E, we applied for the grant and aid, and I know it's our cemetery, but we kind of have a very mixed bag. If you go hang out at the cemetery, we've got a lot of Area E folks out there. Is there any way we can ask for $3 or $4 grand, like half from them? And I know it's not very much money, but every dime counts.
Last year?
We talked about it in 2K, and it was a grant and aid. They would not guarantee to do an ongoing funding to it, which is what I would look for. I would look for half personally. There's a lot of Area folks out in our cemetery, and we do all the work, and we love having them there. Don't get me wrong. I'd like more money personally. We ask for more money.
I just think it'll be like the 2K is the amount of EOF that we do, doesn't require any reporting. It's just, you know, to support that. Area E does have other cemeteries.
So our cost for you to do the work is not going to be worth the extra $500.
Probably not.
Okay, fair. It's good. Thank you.
And I'm not sure if we would get it because they do have other cemeteries themselves. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
Can we make note that we've ran this circle a couple times so we don't run it again next year?
I'll say it. Well, I won't be here next year, so it's all good.
Okay, let's go to tree topping.
Tree topping, so beefing it up a little bit, especially our big wind in July, really highlighted the fact that we got to do a little bit more. So just giving Daryl an additional 5K there to get our tree topping done. This is one that our guys can't do because we are not tree topping specialists. So bumping it up there. I think just based on just that wind event alone, I think we got an invoice close to 20K.
Yeah.
Just with all the, so.
Well, and there's a lot more to do. There is a lot more to do. So, and yeah.
And then the houseboat kiosk, last year we didn't really know what was gonna come of it with the bridge starting. Now we do. So right now we're just paying for some utilities over there that more just do the houseboat and the lights, all that kind of stuff. Getting rid of contract services and materials and supplies as we are not actively using that area right now.
But we will come back to it.
It'll come back eventually.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? No? Okay. We are getting close to the 12:30 lunch break, just so let's plan our.
Okay. Snow removal, no real changes there, just a little bit of a change in insurance. Again, we've really just taken a hard look at our equipment and allocated accordingly. That's where you saw parks went down a little bit. Well, some of the equipment got reallocated to snow removal. So no real change in snow removal. There, street sweeping, we've had our first full year with the street sweeper. So bumping up, equipment costs there. She's an old gal, but she's doing good. And previously we were paying contracted services, I think to the tune of about 30K. So, looking good there.
Yeah, let that street sweeper. I guess if this wouldn't be part of it, but Daryl, just, is there an opportunity to use it more during the year? Like,
Oh, for sure.
you know, for some of those bike paths and walking paths that we have through the community that kind of looked like they needed a little love. As well as some paint on those. Paint touch up as well. You can't see the bike person or the line. Okay. Anyone else have any comments? No? Okay. Did we name the street sweeper?
Do we name it?
Yeah.
I don't think so at this point.
No, I think that we were having a.
Officially.
Everett's called it a few different names.
Yeah, I get that. Okay, let's move along.
Street lighting, now that we've been investing and getting everything switched over to LED at a time. We've now have a couple of years of utilities tracking that, and I've reduced the utilities paid for street lighting down based on the last 2 years actual, so reducing it by 6K. And yeah, that savings coming from now we're switching to LEDs and we're saving on electricity costs.
Excellent.
And then street signs bumping up a bit. The cost of street signs, metal and all that has gone up, and just basing that more based on actual. And line painting, keeping the same.
Okay. Any questions? Okay.
Railway crossings and leases. So these are paid to CP Rails. So we have 2 crossings in town, one Silver Sands, no gate, other one Saw Squaw gated. So we pay quite a bit less for the one that has a gate on it. So we have those monthly costs, and then a little bit I've just put to railway crossing maintenance. So when they do maintenance on those crossings, we do get invoices for them. And if we make any changes, like ask for things, they will bill us. So just putting a little pocket there so it stays on our radar, and we are putting money away to reserve, I believe it's $15,000 for future railway crossing maintenance, as we saw that last year with the Silver Sands improvement. So that's 126,000, I want to say it was. So now we're very much aware and putting money away to reserves for that.
Okay, and I'd like to back this up because I did get a hold of CP about the South Squaw Crossing at Hillier. And after they've done the work there, it is crazy rough. It is no longer a smooth transition. It's like it's terrible. And I think that I've reached out to you, Dean, at one point and asked you to have them have a look at it, and they haven't. But because there are those trucks going over, because I don't want the district of Sycamoose to pay for that mess that's going on there right now. So we need to follow up on that. And that's since they did the work last month or month and a half ago when they shut the couple months already, when they shut that road down.
Yeah, 5 months.
Yeah, so, yeah, a couple months ago when they shut that down and did the work, it needs work. Okay. And just for clarification, and this might just be, I know when we talk gates, are we talking arms? Is that correct? So what would it cost to put arms on Silver Sands?
Probably more than we're paying, for not having.
But I know, but we're paying this every year, right? Like, I don't know, what does it cost to put, and that would also reduce the whistle as well. So I guess that's,
The whistle is separate. So the whistle requires some assessments getting done. I forget what the total, we've kind of looked into it. The no whistle also includes insurance that we would have to cover.
I thought actually there was a savings once we had that conversation. Go ahead, Councilor Rich.
Yeah, through the chair, I think it's about 200,000 for the arms. Remember, we had the folks in taking a look at it with the whistle, because I actually I am in the CSRD. The whistle is it's $40 in the CSRD per household every year to remove the whistle. And the arms have nothing to do with the whistle. So the
Okay.
3 whistles, you can have arms or no arms, they have to blow 3 times. And that's just keeping everybody safe and making sure no one's injured. But when you remove the whistle, that would then go into all, and again, we've had this conversation because Silver Sands wanted to do this. We have Taft and out by Crazy Creek for Area E, which has nothing to do with all the other Area D residents, which there's a lot more of us. And we pay $40 a crossing for each crossing, so $80 a year. So Taft and Crazy Creek doesn't listen to the whistle forever. So it's very, very expensive. It's, yeah.
Okay. Good to know. It's good to have that conversation out loud so that there's folks online or gallery. Okay. Bianca, let's keep moving.
Okay.
Do we want, sorry, or is this a good,
7 minutes?
lunch isn't here yet?
Back any moment.
Okay. Okay, let's finish this page then.
Recreation. So this is kind of a big breakdown of where we're at right now with recreation. We don't have all the expenses in for recreation at this point for contracted services, so this will be going significantly down the recovery. Based on prior year actuals, we usually have about a recovery cost of around 2% for our contractor run programs. Our staff run programs, we usually cover the deficit of that. It's usually around 80%. And our swim for life around 30%. So total, not projecting too many changes. Right now we have some programs that are quite popular. Our softball, soccer, all super well attended this past year, planned for next year. Pickleball is also usually well attended in the evenings. And then looking this year, looking at our day camps, which we've done in the past, and looking to see how we can kind of change that up. This day camps this year, We're not super well attended, so we're just gonna work and see what that really looks like there. Our Swim for Life came to life this year, bringing in a lot more revenue, a lot more participants, which is great to see. And I believe we're gonna be looking at potentially some grant options there. We haven't been, a couple of years ago, we applied and we weren't successful. So we don't want to rely on the grants. We're just gonna be happy if we get them, but really maintaining that Swim for Life program. So total proposed increase in our programming, net increase by about 6%. Overall, that really comes to about $1,600 with a few other little changes there.
Councillor Rich.
Yeah, through the chair, I took a really good look at this, and to be honest, I'm embarrassed. We are battling Revelstoke and Salmon Arm to get people to move here. And this isn't about activities for today, but our elementary school is at capacity at over 240 students. 5 years ago, we were at 125. Our high school was at 100 students, and we're now at 181, yet our rec program continues to go down. So when, and I'm not gonna do ageism here, but I am, no one besides me has a kid in school, and my kid's in high school. So when you move into a town or you're looking for somewhere to go, you are going to look at, is there dance class? We don't have a pool, so we don't have swimming. Is there a basketball class? Is there this and that? Absolutely, we are a bit fractured because we don't have a space. So we rent from the high school, we rent from the CSRD, we rent from the elementary school to run programs. But as we try to make Sycamoose a viable community, we're spending all this money on the rail trail. We're spending a lot of money on different things here and there and everywhere, yet we won't put proper money into recreation. So as a parent, I'm looking at Revelstoke, I'm looking at Salmon Arm, I'm looking at Sycamoose. My quality of life here is better. I've got mountains and the lake. I don't have availability to rec. So I'm gonna drive to Salmon Arm, or I'm gonna drive to Revelstoke to give my kid that rec. And you know what? I'm gonna spend an extra $100,000 on a house. Sycamoose needs to invest in this, and this is ridiculous. We should be giving way more to our recreation programs, and absolutely it is a lost leader. Recreation never makes money in every community. What it does is build a sense of community, and it makes people move here. And we need more money for this. I couldn't believe this was our number.
Councillor Bushel.
Yeah, through the chair, I agree. We're building a building out front here that's gonna be, hopefully have young families living in it. And we have to start planning for the future. Anybody that wants to go swimming, I mean, I know it's an outdoor pool, but I talked to Tate the other day about his pool and, you know, how he got his funding and all that. And I think we need to really take the budget process, this term. I think we should really take a really good look at adding more money to recreation. I've heard it from parents that they want more things for their kids to do. And like you say, our school's maxed out. And we just need more things for our kids to do. And like the day camps are really popular, you know, just things like that. We really need to focus on that. Building is really important that we get that building full, because we want to increase our population so that we can have more things, you know, more things going on here and keep the businesses floating well. So I think we need to spend more money on recreation.
Councillor Evans.
Obviously, 100% agree. That's why we are doing things like that new skating rink we need 5,000 people to be able to fund a pool.
Yeah,
That's
we're not getting a pool.
and an indoor pool anyway. And I would obviously love that. You know, we're even looking at building a gym next to the hub for community space and youth space, because we just know that it's such a necessary thing to have. And I would love to put more money into recreation.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think that Jamie's last presentation, I mean, Councillor Rich, you had pointed out that more activities for kids here in Sycamoose. And I think we asked Jamie at that time to reach out to the schools to see what sort of things that they're looking for. But I think they also ran into a bit of numbers. I think that was part of the problem too, if I'm not mistaken. Bianca, go ahead.
Yeah, so there's been some programs pulled because of lack of numbers. I believe we're canceling family gym nights because we're not getting the numbers. So I guess it's, if we were to just keep this budget as is for this year, kind of, I guess, do we want to put, well, I don't think we need money for it, but honing in on what people will register for.
Absolutely.
Because I'm looking at the numbers, what we determined this year, soccer, this is the first time we've run it for our 3 to 6 years old. It filled, we added another one. Like whenever there's a program that we put out there and it sticks, we run another one. So I'm just wondering, like, in dance class, I mean, I went to Salmon when I grew up here for dance. But when there is the numbers, and the reason why, because at one point I did do dance class upstairs in the rec center, because we had the numbers that the person from Just for Kicks came to Sycamoose to do it. So it'd be a contractor run program. Like we just went through Just for Kicks. There is like opportunities there. We just need people to sign up, because we have thrown a few programs out there that we've gotten like 3 people registered for. And I guess the question is council okay with running a program with 3 kids?
That's a good point. Councillor Beach, then Councillor Evans and Councillor Rich.
Yeah, I know that we've had one survey done that was a point made, that there just isn't enough going on, like enough activity going on in Sycamoose. So I think sometimes you have to kind of build the interest though. So doing a survey about which activities or what kinds of things people would be. Are there adults interested in a certain kind of dance opportunity to learn how, sort of ballroom dancing or whatever? Would help, but that definitely is an issue here, and we have no excuse now. We have lots of families and lots of kids. So,
Councillor Evans.
Yeah, thank you through the chair. It's honing in on what's going with the strength. So like pickleball, soccer, swimming, that's all gone up. And it's sometimes really tricky to figure out the felt needs to actually, the numbers will tell you what they really want to do. And this, so a lot of it is trial and error. And yeah, that's a big part of it too. Cause I mean, I've tried many things and some have flown and some have failed. So I get it. I had a question, is part of it a lack of facility, or is it also family gym night, which was booked at Parkview School with nobody coming because they're all watching Netflix and it's cold and rainy outside? So I'm,
Yep.
the tensions in my mind, like, what is it? Part of it.
Councillor Rich.
And through the chair, I think it's called a loss leader in business. And what you do is you put the money out to gain the business. So if you're going to I want you to drink beer at the pub, I give you chicken wings at 10 cents a wing. You come in, you buy the wings, and now you've just drank 7 beer. And that's what we need to do, because what has happened in Sycamoose, we didn't have the school kids here. When I moved here 7 years ago, we had under 100 people in our high school. So everybody opts out and they don't think, what can I do in Sycamoose? They say, if I want to put my kid in an activity, I'm going to go to Salmon Arm or I'm going to go to Revy to do that. They don't look here and they don't expect it to be here. And so we are going to have to take loss leaders. We're going to have dance classes, or I don't know, little sports fit thingies that kids do with 3 or 4 kids in them. And then the next session, 6 weeks later, you might have 5 kids. And then guess what? Salmon Arm's going to be full, and we see this in hockey. And now Salmon Arm parents can't get into Salmon Arm, and now they're driving their kids into Sycamoose. And then we can up our prices. But it's a lost leader. It also, for the cost, recreation never, ever, ever makes money. It is a donation to the community to have people come here, live here, work here, and give back to the community. And that's, so when we look at these numbers, recreation's not about making money. That's not what it's about. And we actually need to invest to get a feedback back. That will keep people in this community. I can guarantee it. I shop when I move. What will my kids be doing? What's my travel time? And right now, what we're looking at recreation, we're making it is it making a profit or is it breaking even? No, and it's not ever going to. Just like the rec center. We're never, ever going to make money on the rec center. Does it keep the community happy? Does it make you want to come here? Does it breed a sense of community? 100%. We need to put more money into this. Like I said, I'm embarrassed with these numbers.
And I don't think anyone's disagreeing. I think we all agree that it's important in the sense of community. I think it's direction. I think that Jamie needs to do a little bit of research. Dean and then Councillor Bushel.
So we're kind of in a situation where we're not putting money in sort of determining what the community wants. So if council wanted to look at, expanding recreation, instead of just sort of, let's try it, see if it works, doesn't work, we're gonna just can it or we'll do something different. So it's a bit of a shotgun approach. Maybe if council wants to invest a little bit of money this year in doing a survey that's more than just a response to people's ideas, and actually put a survey out to the community and find out what would interest people in recreation from the community. I would really hope that we're surprised by what we get, and we get some really great ideas from the community on what that could be. The second part of that is finding the people in the community to deliver those services. That certainly is a challenge around dance, is having the instructor that will come to Sycamoose to do that. But if we get the interest in it and we can demonstrate that there's this much interest in it, then we're coming back to council, not just with ideas on what might work. We've actually got some empirical data to support it. So if council wanted to look at putting a bit forward in this year's budget for us to do a bit better survey than just getting people to send us a part of the guide, I think that would be kind of the way that you could achieve a little bit better understanding of what the community wants. Because right now we're just relying on a few people that provide, take the back of the guide, write their idea down and send it in. And it's not really representative of a group of the community. It's just maybe one individual.
Councillor Bushel?
Yeah,
Councillor Beach and Councillor Evans.
through the chair, I think, like Bob's right, it's like hit and miss. And, but we've done lots of surveys. We know the families what they want. They want more services like for recreation. So I think we up the ante a bit. And, making sure Jamie and her staff have marching orders, and like not marching orders, but, have an idea that, bring on some more, give them some more money to do some more things so that the families we've done surveys. I think we do surveys all the time, and we know that they just want more recreation. And the parents, the mothers ask, would be nice to see this or nice to see that. And we've done the surveys. I just think we need to give Jamie a little more rein to find, keep, adding new programs and have funds to help, pay for her staff. And I don't think we have to find all contractors, because we can do a lot of stuff in-house ourselves. We don't have to find, it's great we find yoga contractors and things like that, but we do, for kids programs, day camps and stuff like that. We have staff, so we just have to use them. And I think we should put a little more money into this.
Thank you, Councillor.
Chair, yeah, thank you. We've been there. We've been there where these programs have flourished prior to, in a time when the schools were full. And then we lost populations due to hydro dam completing and various and sundry things, and things drop off. You don't have the population of students. We're building back up now. We have to put stuff out there. We have to put money into developing it and building it. And they will start to come out. The adults will come out if you offer them, sort of more opportunities. And yes, we brought dance instructors in from Salmon Arm. We had all of this stuff when the schools were full.
Thanks, Councillor Evans.
Yeah, again, just a couple of things that are really cool is like that pump track. I mean, the kids around this community eat that thing up. The problem isn't the summer or the fall or the spring with the pump track, and it's great that we're getting that outdoor skating rink, stuff like that. But really the boredom kicks in when the rain and the dark kicks in for those winter months where Sicamous is like living under a dark bowl. And so I think we just got to keep doing our research, but we are, with that bike track and stuff like that as well, the outdoor owlhead, we are making progress, because when you build something, and like Siobhan says, our school numbers have gone up so much that we do have to be forward thinking and invest in the future. And then the leading number will be the money we put out. The lagging number will be the excited people to do those things. But we have to do that stuff. Like we need an indoor walking track and all that stuff. And it's just important stuff. And I know it's important. The question for me is, where do we get the money to put more in? Because like we have Jamie's a full-time employee for recreation, but then the question for me is like, so what do we need to put more money into programs she can run? Is that the question? That's the question I have.
Councillor Rich.
Yeah, through the chair. And I mean, honestly, I would, if we had $10,000 to put into a study in upper management, or $10,000 to put for free programs to get kids out, and we sponsor those programs to get families out, and they go, wow, this is great, that's happening. Or we can, again, loss leader, that instead of it being a $120 program that a kid can come and do Kangoo or whatever the kids are doing now, at $50, I would 100% say we put that money not into another study, because we have tons of studies. And Bob would be an absolutely great reference, because you know what? If you go over to the hub, Bob's full, and I don't think we're in competition. I think Bob would pick 7 days a week that we could keep those kids busy. And we're keeping the kids busy. And then when the parents see that the kid's busy, then moving forward, they will invest. And Salmon Arm, Revelstoke, Malaqua will start bringing that. So I think we really need to, even if we got 10 or 15 grand more to recreation, and that's a loss leader. It's not what's taking off. It's, you know what, here's a free program. Who wants to come out? If we get 3 kids, that's 3 more we didn't have. And that is going to be, the next time there's a sign up, I'm going to bring my kid because so-and-so said. And then maybe in 4 years, recreation is not profit. We need to make sure that that is very understood by the community and by council. And that brings people to Sicamous that will come and invest and live, or they won't, and they'll move to Salmon Arm and they will invest and live and buy their groceries in Salmon Arm or Revelstoke.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anyone else? So is this where we want to do we want to bring this back?
Yes.
Bianca, have a look at it.
Yeah,
It's obviously council's radar.
I would, yeah, I think if
If you need direction.
nope, I think
Good.
yeah, so December 11th will, Dean and Jamie and with maybe some options, what this could look like. And
Sure. Okay, if we are going to, it's 12:45. We are going to take half hour. Is everyone good with taking half hour? And we will get back to it at 1:15. Started. Don't go, let's get going.
it's gonna share my screen. Next up, economic development, tourism and special events. So when it comes to the special events, we do have a little bit of budgeted revenue for stage rental, as we own our stage and we rent it out to a few different organizations. $1,000, and we do get a few random grants and shout outs throughout the year, little bits of cash from people that just really enjoy some of our events. I think last year we got about $1,000 from one of the stratas for Canada Day. Because they just felt like it was really well received. So leaving that budget as is. For special events, bumping up fireworks as the cost of fireworks has gone up a little bit. Bumping up slightly our basketball tournament contributions. So in the past, our contribution for the fastball tournaments was a $3,500 monetary contribution, but also use of the nest. And this year, the Eagles will be managing the nest, so just putting a little bit of buffer in there to help cover that. Family Fun Day. We decided to no longer do Family Fun Day, so just removing that out of there. And then still we do have a healthy various other events, miscellaneous costs for events of $13,000 that can be used for things like our volunteer appreciation and stuff like that we're exploring. That's kind of an overview of special events, if anyone wants. Those are just carrying on to a couple other things. Nope.
Okay. Anyone have any questions regarding Councillor Evans?
$85, pretty good.
$85, sorry?
The number at the bottom.
At the very moment.
We're not there yet, Paul.
Okay, and then so we have our agreement with the Chamber of Commerce for Visitor Information Center. So that's based on contract, our Info on the Go program. It's my understanding Chamber will still go trying to get grant funds for that, but the last 2 years they were not successful. We do have that in the contract, $15,000 to support that. And music in the park increased by projected CPI. And then our funds to the Economic Development Corporation, and they'll be coming to our next budget meeting on that. So right now, just budgeting status quo there. Perfect. 85.
Any questions? Okay, let's move along.
And then, so district-owned properties, so just going through the various buildings that we own. In the Municipal Hall, this building is no longer young, and we're seeing some increases in HVAC repairs and items such as that. So just bumping up our contracted services closer to the actuals that we've been seeing. A little bit bump up in our insurance rates. That's all for Municipal Hall.
Sorry, I didn't know what base lease at $14 a square foot. We're renting it out or we're renting it to ourselves or?
We're renting it to the library. They pay a portion.
Okay, thank you. I just didn't know what that meant and I appreciate it.
Okey-dokey. In this in place, some changes here just because we do not have the medical clinic in there anymore. So we're seeing a little bit of a decrease in utilities, a little bit of a decrease in materials and supplies based on actual, and still just keeping a strong contracted service in there, knowing the age of the building. That one.
Questions? Nope. Looks like everyone's good.
Modular accommodation facility, I'm bringing in our new contract with the Eagles. So I've spoken to a representative from the Eagles. It's working well for them. I think they have less there this season for their hockey, and it's working out quite well. So they see that they'll likely be renewing their agreement with us. Rental profits. It is a bit of a hard facility to rent out. They're not finding quite the uptake in it. A little bit for hockey schools, and with our increase in development programs, they're hoping to house some more kids in the summertime with hockey schools and stuff like that. But right now we're just being a little bit conservative and just decreasing it down to 3,000. So that'd be our 50% share of any net profits for using that facility. bumping up the contracted services a little bit just based on actuals. We are responsible for appliance repairs and items like electrical issues, those sorts of things for that facility. Questions?
All right,
Questions? Okay, Councillor Rich.
through the chair, we had spoke, I think last year, maybe it's a Daryl question that it was kind of sinking over the last 2 years. It's not, the foundation isn't super great. Do we need to put money aside for that, or it's kind of stagnated? I know nothing about sinking buildings. I just know I've got notes that say we talked about sinking buildings.
Yeah, we did, and to do it properly would be splitting it apart, removing it and putting down a base. There might be a creative way of doing it. I'm not sure, other than pretty big ticket item to try to get a proper base under there. We haven't had any more sinking, so we've shimmed it up a few times in the first couple of years. It was settling quite a lot. Haven't really seen too much more of that.
Okay.
So I think, yeah, I mean, we could talk about it, maybe get some estimates. I could maybe try and get a number on what I want to try to put aside. Should it get worse?
And just to follow up on that through the chair, so should we be kind of putting a contingency fund in, or generally it's kind of did what it's going to do and it's going to live its life? And
no guarantees. I'm hoping it's kind of shifted. We haven't seen a lot. We haven't seen it getting worse, but. Hey.
Councillor Bush.
Yes, through the chair, Daryl, did we get the downspouts and everything fixed on the corners?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was part of the issue. Too much water soaking into where the footings are, and that was causing it to settle. I did talk to Todd, and he said he would be willing to come over and take a look at it and shim it. So
Okay.
that was some time ago, but
But you guys have already shimmed it, so we don't need to hire someone to shim it.
Yeah, we've had TA help us out with that a couple
Okay.
times over the last couple of years.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Okay, let's move along.
Okay, daycare facility, so this one, within our lease agreement with King's Kingdom, there was the opportunity for the district to, begin receiving lease payments beginning of January. Council, chose to, and use those, lease payments, so, and that has been communicated to Kids Kingdom. I have such trouble saying it every time.
It's Kingdom.
Kingdom.
Kids Kingdom. So yeah, so they're gonna be taking over responsibility for utilities come January 1st. So seeing decrease for that, and then also paying the rent lease. So
Excellent.
this net of $9,400, I have preliminary set aside to reserves. To go into building reserves, knowing that this is an asset that eventually we will have to put capital money into. Curling club, based on actuals, leaving that pretty much the same, little change for insurance.
I have had the request from the curling club, well, not a formal request, but I think it came to council about having someone do the ice there. Like, because their volunteers are running out, they're aging out, so they don't have anyone to put the ice in for them. So Deering had lights here, so you guys have not heard anything.
No.
All right, well then let's just carry on. Dogs lie.
Malcolm has his hand up.
Go ahead, Malcolm. Oh, darn, you curl. Who curl are you?
Yeah, just regarding the curling club, my brother Mike did that last year and he was good at it, and the ice was pretty good. But anyhow, yeah, he's moved away. He's in Sorrento now, so that's why there's a gap there for this winter.
Curling.
are you following?
They're curling right now though, right?
Yeah.
Councilor Bushel.
I was just gonna ask Malcolm, who did it this year then? Or is somebody gonna do it as well? After Mike's gone?
I forget who's doing it. I think Kevin Hill was working on it a little bit with some help from a couple of the members and Kevin.
Okay, great.
Okay, well,
Thank you.
perfect. Okay, let's carry on.
Okey dokey. Okay, the next one, the health center. This one, I'll stick it. We have our leases in place for the physio, massage, all those ones coming to 35,700. Our community space rentals projecting 22,000. Right now, we are still in conversations about the third party space, trying to get a lab in there. So it's a process. I think we're getting there. Hopefully 2027 we can establish it, but hopefully by our third budget meeting, we'll have a better understanding of what that looks like. I would not project 2026, but we can look at what the following 4 years, as we do put together a 5-year financial plan, trying to make that as accurate as possible. And then just some expenditures, janitorial, garbage collection, HVAC maintenance, IT for the Wi-Fi in there, security, snow removal, and the works, utilities.
Any questions? Counselor Rich.
Through the chair, I was looking at room and flex space. So is that like where the therapist is? And then, you know, I know that Eagle Valley Resource has some space. What are people paying us? Like, what does this space cost? I want to rent one.
So based on our lease agreements, it's based on $25 a square foot rental rate.
And a room is?
To one of the smaller 10 by 10 is $250 a month. And then there's also an add-on for anyone using laundry.
So they pay $250 a month for a small room, including hydro and janitorial and Wi-Fi and alarms and snow removal?
So through the chair, the janitorial isn't for their individual rooms. Their room is their space. This is for all the additional space, the community space, that space.
How long are we in those contracts for? Because that sounds like incredibly low.
I think just the.
Two. There's a couple of them are different, but most of them are about 2 years.
2-year first contract. Yeah, because I mean, honestly, to be in a medical building, that's $250.
$25 a square foot.
Yeah.
That's fair market. I mean,
Well,
take it up more. I mean, we have to,
without hydro,
you won't pay $30 for.
fair market without hydro and stuff. So if I go and rent over where BRAP is, I'm still paying all the other things that go with it. So I think at $25, I'm not saying we shouldn't be doing that. I'm saying that that is something we need to look into, because at $25 if you're getting Wi-Fi and snow removal and bathroom use and all that stuff, if you went to rent a different space in town that is brand new, I'm not quite sure it would be 20, and I could be completely wrong. But it seems like a pretty good deal, and maybe something we need to, again, not this year, but look at making some more money for.
Bianca, and then Bob.
Yeah, and just looking at that, so we did get an appraisal to kind of cover off the rates that we did. 25, so it came in at around $20 a square foot, plus then doing the top up of $5 for the extra utilities and stuff like that, the other things. For reference, like our library pays $14 a square foot, and right now in Sycamoose, there's not really a good market to draw from on our rates. Like, we're pulling everything from Salmon Arm. So a lot of the, like, really what they're renting is the size of like an office space, most of them. So comparable to Salmon Arm, I think we're close, but we can definitely
Okay, yeah, and not criticizing, just asking.
Counselor Evans and then Counselor.
Yeah, I think it's, like you said before, a little bit of a loss leader. Because if we want these services in Sicamous, which we do, and we want those people to use their building and we want a library and stuff like that, we have to, I think, try and keep it reasonably low so we can
Yeah.
keep these folks.
Counselor Bushman.
Excuse me. Yeah, through the chair, I been doing some homework on that. Rates in town and Amar's asking $32 a square foot and he has nobody for his place. He's had lots of people come in, but they wanted to pay less. So $32 to $34 a square foot. Dave Sturrell's at $13 a square foot next door here. The library's at 14, DOS is at 25. The new guys in town that are getting ready to fill the bottom of the building here, they're in town today, actually trying to figure out how to rent that bottom commercial space, those 3 units. And they're roughly 24 to $26 a square foot as they're looking at. So I mean, that's what I heard. So like that.
That seems market, yeah.
Number.
So just so you know, those are the numbers, and it could be more or less after their meeting today. I don't know.
Okay, any other questions?
Oh, yeah, I had one other
Okay, go.
for Daryl. On the, when you walk into the medical center on the left-hand side, there's you got 2 steps. And I don't know if there's any railing going on there, but as you come around the corner, the arch of the building kind of is in the way, but and that opening is about a 3-foot drop and it has no railing or no, maybe you could squeeze a planter in there so that somebody can't walk through there or slip off there. It should be looked at for liability.
We'll look at it.
Counselor Beach.
Yeah, I'd like to just comment on that. Thanks for bringing it up, because really, where there are steps, there will be people who need a railing going into a building like that. So we should make sure that we've got a railing anytime people have to go up and down. And the drop off is definitely.
Yeah.
Thanks. Daryl got that?
I got that.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's keep moving along then. Bianca?
So next up, we have the medical clinic. So we have 2 doctors budgeted under here through MSP, which we take 80% of their general MSP revenue. And we have a nurse practitioner, of which we get an overhead payment from the province for, bringing in our net physician payments of $290,000 of income, net income, and then our expenses for it. So we have salaries going down slightly now that we're in the new center, bringing down our manager to 4 days a week. Karen was very busy with getting ready to move into the new center, so moving her down to 4 days a week, so a little bit of cost savings there for wages. And yeah, we have had, moving into the new center, we had to get new telephones. The telephone system at the old clinic were, I don't know how old they were, Pam, but we need, so entering into a new contract there, so a bit of an increase there. Janitorial and laundry, there's quite a bit more space in that new center for cleaning. So putting a healthy budget in there for monthly cleaning. We are going to be going out to RFP for janitorial, so hopefully we'll be seeing some savings here. Other than that, electricity is now all getting saved because it's all going under the medical, the entire building. So just removing that, this budget, and it's going into the not. Other than that, last year we were lucky to have the BC Association of Community Health Centers grant that we had a bit of carryover from. We've looked at the grant this year. We don't really have too much opportunity there for another grant that we're seeing, but always looking for additional grant. So net deficit of 56,000, so going down a little bit from last year.
Perfect. It'll continue. Good. Okay. Any questions? Okay, keep going.
Easy there, Karen. Last one, I think it is, bioheat facility. So we have our actuals for the class. So this is our third cycle of the bioheat facility. We have two connections on the facility at this point. So looking at trends over the years. Of course, this really depends on how cold it is. So the colder it is, the better. The colder it is, the more revenue we usually make. So basing that on kilowatt hours, costs, we have our insurance for the facility, a little bit of contract services. This is a very unique facility, and we do anticipate that we will need to bring Fink in a little bit to help our guys. Materials and wood chips, it takes about, it's 100 tons for this kilowatt usage. So there's that, and then there's always the backup propane. Daryl would know what else it does in the facility, but propane a little bit.
Backup system.
Backup system, there you go. Yeah, so total net revenue of $13,000, which will all get transferred to reserve.
Good. Any questions on bioheat? Councillor Bushel.
Yeah, through the chair. When's our contract end with Fink?
Technically it was a 2-year. And so we're kind of doing a bit of a handoff with them this year. They've quoted to come and lend support, train our people and stay involved. So formally, I think you could say we're kind of on our own, but it's training wheels right now with them.
Okay, no, thank you. Yeah, I know, I just think about, do we know if we have any other new people hooking up at all?
No, I haven't heard of anybody
Okay.
reaching out on that yet.
I gotta say, I've been watching the CSRD and they're talking about dumping rate, tipping fees and stuff like that. And it's just, I work beside the dump and I watch the grinding that goes on to the wood, all the wood products they have. And the loads that come out of there that are all chipped and ground. And you just think, God, there's gotta be a better way to get that and dry it and use it. Cause it's just, because it sits there and it's just smoldering full of heat. And you can just watch it. It's ready to start on fire after they regrind it again. And I'm just going, how can we extract and use that? Because it's just the mountains are full of it, right? And then everybody takes their stuff from their yards and they go there. And I understand, users should pay to take all their wood up there. And it's a fair way to do it. But just get that heat out of that wood and get it redirected to a dry facility that we could use it. It would be amazing. Ton of words.
Councillor Rich.
Yeah, through the chair. So Daryl, do you think it's like 0.25 a day or what are we going to be paying? Like, because again, we're pushing this onto PW and we haven't given you any more people. So is this an hour a day? It's a quarter a day? It's a day? Like what are your forecasts, and you may well not know.
Yeah.
Favor.
Thanks for the question. I think best info we have is just kind of seeing what Fink has been doing in the last couple of years. So looking at their schedule, there's obviously firing it up for the year as all day. Maintenance shutting it down is another full day in the fall. In the middle, in the on season when they're running, it's bi-weekly. They come in and they have a list of things that they check and record, and then bringing in materials once in a while. It looks like it amounts over the last couple of years to about a half a day every couple of weeks.
Okay.
So it wouldn't be like a 0.25 or anything with that big of an impact, but it would be another job for sure. So we'd have to quantify that a little bit better, but slight impact for sure.
Again, just to follow up. So, and that's running off their computers and what's happening there. So then would we contract that out to them and they would feed us our numbers back and then we maintain the building, or we just contract straight out to them?
I'm trying to get it to a point where we're doing the checks and we're confident in doing it. As it is now, yeah, they're watching, there's a camera in there and they're ordering material based on what they're seeing. no reason that can't be diverted our way when the time comes. We're ready to take the training wheels off. We can do all that too. And if we run into problems that are a little over our head, they're just down the road. So that's kind of where I want to get to.
Awesome, thank you.
Councillor.
Yes, hi. I just wanted to comment on Gord's observation and ask, so where are the wood chips sitting? Up at the landfill?
Yeah, would people take all their brush from their yards?
Yes, but
It goes up there,
clean wood chips.
then they sit there and they grind it,
Yeah,
grind it up there and
Oh,
it's
okay.
massive big piles.
Yeah,
And then.
I would really like us to look at with the CSRD, because it's their landfill. Doing something with that and converting it to heat, or, you know, doing a better job of that, so.
Yeah.
I think part of the problem with using that in the bioheat facility is that wood in the bioheat facility is gonna be pretty clean.
It has to be very
And,
clean.
yeah, that's not, and dry, and
Yeah.
that's not gonna cut it.
Yeah, I think the wood would have to be separate from the sort of yard waste, right? But it's still something we should look at, right, together, I think.
Councillor Rich.
Yeah, and through the chair, that's what it is. It's an entire different plant.
Yeah.
So you actually you buy a plant, just like we bought the bioheat, and then you process. And then maybe like Fink has one. But of course, they've got to market it everywhere, but it isn't, you can't just drop sticks in there and then it's going to work. And it's going to be a massive undertaking to have a plant manage it. Is it worth it? It may well be. And then you also have trucking fees. Right now, the BC government lets you burn slash piles for free. They pay a bit of a fee, about $125 a slash pile. But then are you going to then charge back to the forestry companies to haul that down?
Yeah.
Right? Or you're going to pay for it. So it's
I
a
know.
lot, it's not simple, but it's doable.
But for a different day.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Bianca, you want to continue? We're at the end. All right, we are going to, Richard, we're going to have 15 minutes where we have each gallery member has 3 minutes for a total of 15. So did you want to share your 3 minutes?
Yeah, I just.
You go up to the podium, please.
Well, I had a comment there when the tide counters and sort of Main Street revitalization was being discussed. I think that is a underlooked economic driver where you beautify a downtown core. People tend to spend time there. They interact with businesses invest, and then it's a positive upward cycle. And so there's a comment about educating business owners. We did a business walk with the Chamber of Commerce and the DOS DC earlier in the year, and it was very interesting. A lot of business owners on Main Street talked about they weren't focusing on their property. They like, oh, there's the district, right? But they would obviously have things on their property, and it sort of it ended up not being productive, you know, like because they were making comments, but they could have been focusing on themselves. And then Gavin from Linda's Gifts, he tried an initiative to say, take ownership of the street in front of you, the sidewalk in front of your business, and didn't quite hit. But we kind of made some videos, like before and after videos, and that worked really well as educational, because what we found is that the actual time that it took to do some of these things, like even though there were like 5-foot weeds, it's like a couple people and a very small amount of time, and it would be cleared up. So I thought it was a really positive thing. That was what I thought as far as education goes, was just showing people how a few hours of work from a few people would make us like a real tangible difference. So yeah, but I think that's a really positive thing. It's one of those items that doesn't cost a lot of money. It pulls people in, and then hopefully leads to more economic activity in your downtown core. So I think that was the only real comment. But this was fascinating. Thanks for letting me join. I don't know if it would be fascinating multiple times, but for a first time, I was very interested in hearing how the sausages are made. So.
The process goes. 3 more, Richard. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for being here. You know what, we do encourage community members to come in and listen to the financials to figure out how we, noodle through all of this.
Yeah.
So it's really important to our taxpayers that they show up and figure out where their money's being spent.
I totally agree, and it's like commendable the time that you guys put. The not easy decisions that you have there, you can see there's a lot of trade-offs that you have to make. And I guess it'll get more intense soon.
Yeah, exactly. All right, anyone online? Okay, well, let's call the Finance Committee meeting at 1:52. Could I get a Counselor Bushel, Counselor Rich, all in favor? We are adjourned.
Thank you, Bianca.